This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with Sean Anderson.
What's up, everybody?
And Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
This is weird because usually when the three of us are in the same room at the same time, Sean and I are in different spots.
Yeah.
Sean's over here, I'm over there, we're here for the fast break, but for today, you got, go ahead.
Well, I'm invading your podcast again, Mark Weber, twice in a row, baby.
Well, Mark couldn't be here today.
I'm
we
the
are
co-host.
here. This was a jam-packed evening. You guys live stream killed it for the NFL
3
draft.
hours of content.
Johnny and I were at 3 hours of Avengers content for us, and
I'm
then we
equally
recorded
jealous.
the review.
Yeah.
So we had that, so I recorded that before this, and now we're talking about the first round. We're basically talking quarterbacks in the first round, all 5 of them, and then we're going to do best and worst from the first round. Before we get into everything, a little bit of housekeeping for you guys. If you want to help support us, go check out patreon.com/most valuable podcast. That's where you can go and do it, and you can even join a podcast for a month. Every month you are at that tier and support us. Number 2, check out our store to get an MVP t-shirt. I'm not wearing it, but the logo is usually
Looks
right
great,
here
Ricky.
on the t-shirt. Then mostvaluablepodcast.com. That's where you get MVP each and every day.
Oh, watch
and
the-
last but not least, I always kind of do that. I go every single day.
That's not really us. It
It's
doesn't
not-
represent
it's-
us.
I- it was on a tilt. It was on a tilt.
Put the arm
It
down.
was on a tilt. But
Let's
then
Eileen.
the last thing is, if you're on Apple Podcast or iTunes, go give us a 5-star
Go like more
rating.
3 in the paint.
Do I do one of these?
Yeah.
Am I serving
Let's
it up
get the
now?
podcast
Hey,
going.
this is not demonetized.
What we are diving into,
Jesus.
we're not going to be advertiser friendly, Dave. We're not going to be advertiser friendly. But first one we're going to jump into, we're going to go right in order. We're going to start with Baker, then go down the line, Darnold, Allen, Rosen. We'll start with Baker Mayfield. And Sean, I want to start with you because I know that you have some hot takes and some hot opinions
I always have
on
hot
this
takes.
one. Was Baker Mayfield the right choice for the Browns at number 1?
In my personal opinion, Baker Mayfield was not the right choice at quarterback at number 1. Again, I have a tough time bashing teams for making the wrong choice at quarterback. Last year, after the Bears draft, I was on a podcast talking about the Bears trade up and that if you love a guy, go and take him. I think that's what the Browns did here. They love Baker Mayfield, and they went out and got him, and they think that he's the franchise quarterback. I can't blame the Browns for making that pick. If they believe in their evaluation and their scouting that Baker Mayfield's their guy, make that pick and have 100% confidence in that pick. Again, I can't blame that. In my personal opinion, though, I would not pick and chosen Baker Mayfield. I think his immaturity is going to really shine in Cleveland. Not only from
And
the
that's
crotch
not a
grabbing,
good thing.
Yeah, exactly. Not only from the crotch grabbing stuff in the Kansas game, the flag planting at Ohio State, obviously the off the field issues as well with the cops running away while he was intoxicated. But I just do not think he has the right leadership skills as a Cleveland Brown. I know people love the chip on his shoulder, and again, I think on the field when he is playing quarterback, he looks great, and he has the talent to be a number 1 quarterback. But I don't think his maturity level is that of a number 1 overall pick. You look at Mitch Trubisky; he had the composure and the confidence to be at least a top pick, the number 1 quarterback taken off the board last year. I do not see that in Baker Mayfield, and I know people love it. And you brought this up; he's a lunch pail guy. He's going to have that blue collar mentality. He's trying to prove himself, but I think he's more of less of the guy who's looking dirty because he just put in a hard day of work at a construction site. He's more of Vinny checking himself in the steel beams, making sure his hair's okay.
Sean. Look, this is where you couldn't be further from right. Look, Baker Mayfield is a perfect fit for this Cleveland
Thank you,
Browns
Dave.
team.
Thank you.
I could not love this pick harder if I tried. Like, I'm not even a Cleveland fan. I'm a fan of losers, though, to be fair. Like, I enjoy the rebuild. I'm about the process. TTP, baby.
Trust the process.
But-
What was the other team you liked before that? Like before the 76ers that
so many
completely
rebuilding
sucked.
teams. So many rebuilding teams. That's my jam. That's where my heart lies. In this Baker
That's why you're a
Mayfield
USC
pick,
fan and Laker fan. Those
I
guys,
like winning early on in life.
They lose a lot.
Early on in life, I loved winning. Now I'm all about the rebuild. Baker Mayfield is the ideal fit for this Cleveland Browns team, and I'll tell you why. Because he is incredibly passionate about football. This is a kid who walked out of 2 different schools, earned his way. He was a fantastic college player, and he was one of the most athletic players. He's a solid passer. The big knock on him is, like you said, maturity. Yes. Mm-hmm. Guess what? You're playing a freaking sport. You're throwing a football. If you're not mature enough to throw a football for entertainment, like, I think you have bigger problems in life. I'm not concerned with him because on the field, you know what? The whole flag plant thing, that was a rivalry. That was a statement. That was an
It was against Ohio State. It was a non-conference game.
Yeah, but Ohio State has been a powerhouse in football for how long in this past decade? It's a I'm here moment. Mm-hmm. The whole thing with the crotch grab was, oh, you're not going to shake my hand at midfield, show respect and sportsmanship to me? Well, I'm going to dad dick you in the game, and then I'm going to do a crotch grab and say, there was a whole lot more that was said after that. But I think it's passion towards the game. It's good passion. It's youthful exuberance in that manner. And the drunken tasing thing, I can't condone that.
I think it's the thing that I just want to come in here and jump in.
Makes sense, yeah.
The thing that adds to this, and I'm not saying they're connected because they're not, but the thing that adds to this is the Johnny Manziel thing of
he went there.
You're talking immaturity. Johnny Manziel's immature, and the Browns do it again, although Johnny Manziel was alcohol and completely different than Baker Mayfield.
I don't want to bring that up with Baker Mayfield. I'm not trying to say this is Johnny Manziel 2.0.
But with the Browns, those idiots come out of the woodwork.
Well, that's just
dismiss them.
Yeah,
not Browns fans are coming out and saying that.
No,
it's just people
comparers
with his ability, his winning a Heisman, being a smaller quarterback, really taking over the college football world, like Manziel did, and then having immaturity. That's why people bring that up. Get away from that. He's not Johnny Manziel, a carbon copy. Again, I know Johnny Manziel has worked over his issues. I'm proud of him for that. I hope he makes a successful comeback. That's an illness. I'm not trying to make fun of that or proud of that. But Baker Mayfield's off the field problem was he was drunk. Johnny Manziel was a drunk. He was abusing substance. That was his biggest problem, and he was also immature to go with it. I do see some similarities between the two, kind of with the immaturity, but I would not say Baker Mayfield's a Johnny Manziel clone. I just feel at the number 1 overall pick, that is a prestigious pick. And not saying that Baker Mayfield's tarnishing that pick in any way, but I looked at Sam Darnold as a leader, as the prototypical quarterback, and I think that would have been not only the safe pick, but also the correct pick for the Cleveland Browns. If you want to break that streak, if you want to get rid of that Browns jersey and just have one quarterback jersey to wear proudly as a Browns fan, I thought it would have Darnold on the back of the jersey. Again, Baker on the field, I think he's fantastic. But when you are going to be looked at as the guy who represents the franchise, I don't know if Baker can do that. Again, Baker has a great chip on his shoulder. The kid works his butt off, but I just do not know if it's going to be about him or if it's going to be about Baker, and that really worries me.
About the team or about Baker?
Yes, thank you. Yeah. If it's going to be about the Browns or if it's going to be about Baker, and as a quarterback, as the center of the franchise, you need to have that ability to take all of that on. But again, too much can be too much, and that's the one thing that worries me about Baker. It's not on the field, but it's how will his teammates be receptive to him, especially of him being a rookie, and how will he really deal with sitting behind Tyrod Taylor if he does sit behind Tyrod Taylor. Hard Knocks is going to be insane with that preseason.
Going
that's
with
right.
Hugh Jackson, the Browns have
going with
Knocks,
Tyrod Taylor, seeing Baker Mayfield. I would not have taken Baker Mayfield.
See, I'm with Dave. I'm on the other side of that to where, me personally, would I have made the pick? Probably not. I would have copped out and made the safe one of Sam Darnold. But seeing this pick, my first thing to Johnny, who doesn't know anything about football, was I love that pick. Love it. Even what I tweeted out today when they said that, Baker's probably going to be the first pick, I said that I liked it because of what he brings. I don't think that it's going to be... We're not going to see off-the-field issue Baker Mayfield. We're going to see the chip on my shoulder. A big thing early on I loved about Baker is when we heard the things where it's well, Josh Rosen doesn't want to play for Cleveland. Who wants to play for Cleveland? Baker Mayfield was out there going, I would love that. He's I would love to have that opportunity to fight for that team to get them their first championship and get them to the playoffs in how long. He's going to be a guy for me that kind of fits in with that fan base. They're going to rally around him because he's going to be I think it will be team first, Baker second. And then also, it's like you talk to like guys who have talked to Lincoln Riley, guys who talked to those Oklahoma Sooner players. They all love Baker. So why would you question
Well, that's
what
the
the
thing.
teammates
Do any
are
of
going
them
to
go
say?
to his birthday party? You know?
Yes, Orlando Brown.
Didn't hear about that.
But it's draft day.
It's draft day, the movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
the Browns.
None of them went-
draft day.
It's
None of them
draft
went to
day,
the
it's the
birthday party,
Browns.
man.
I didn't see
If
draft
only he
day.
would have went to Wisconsin.
Jesus Christ. No,
mean,
but
red and white,
with
same
Baker,
colors.
Of course they're going to love him.
Yeah.
You're winning football games. That was a successful program under Baker Mayfield. You're going to love that guy. Lincoln Riley taking over for Bob Stoops. You have Baker Mayfield who takes you that far. Yeah, you're going to love the kid. And again, he's probably fun to be around, but when you're a professional, you're getting paid, your career's on the line, and if Baker isn't putting yourself and the team in front of if he's not putting team first and having Baker first, that's going to cause issues. And also, how is Baker going to react to being behind Tyrod Taylor if he does have to sit for him for a year? And if Cleveland doesn't win, how is Baker going to react to that? Because Baker, again, was winning at Oklahoma. He had to fight his way on. If he's fighting and not seeing results, that could piss off Baker Mayfield. So that's the one thing is, again, I'm just trying to point this out because this is the most important decision that the Cleveland Browns have made in years. They go out and get what they see as their franchise quarterback. The first time picking number 1 overall since 1999, since Tim Couch. I was 2 years old, just a little twinkle, and now look at me. I can grow a beard and I'm wearing a suit and look decent, presentable.
That's bad because I can't do any of those
That's
things.
the thing is, I was
Wear a suit or
I was
grow a
spitting up on
beard?
myself when Tim Couch was selected. Now, I can put on a tie, even though I'm not wearing one right now. But you know what I'm saying?
I don't
Had one
see
of
it.
them.
Like I see the initial worry with it, but for me, I look past it very easily because of what I've seen. Like when you say that, oh, what are they going to do when he doesn't have the starting job? This is a kid who 3-star, like everyone wanted to share today, 3-star quarterback coming out of high school, walk on here, had to work his way there, eventually worked his way up. Like all this kid done is, I know that people are going to say, oh, well, it comes from a family with money, but when it comes, but no. But when it comes to,
We're trying to dispel the myth.
Yeah, people that bring that up, it's
well, they do the same thing
shit.
with Josh Rosen. as
Peyton
well.
Manning came from a family of money. Archie was an NFL quarterback.
But when
Like,
it comes
come
to
on.
Baker's football life, all this kid has had to do is work to get where he is right now. And that is what I think the Browns saw, and that's what I liked in Baker, where it was he's going to be fired up for the team. He's going to be very competitive. He's not going to, like, the last thing you want in Cleveland is a guy who is okay with losing. You want a guy who's not okay with losing so he can hopefully turn that into W's.
Again, I don't disagree with
Because you have
Rutgers.
one win in 2 years.
I'm just trying to bring up
Didn't Johnny win that last game? Sorry.
I think so. Talking about Johnny Manziel?
Yeah.
Again, I'm not trying to take away from what Baker has done on the football field. Going from a 3-star recruit, walking on to different places and winning the starting job at Oklahoma. I'm not trying to dispel that. I'm not trying to say he didn't work to where he got. He worked his ass off. Congratulations, you're the number 1 overall pick. I just look at that and I just don't know if he has the right shine to be a number 1 overall pick. And this might be a knee-jerk reaction, and it also might be dispelled once he steps
This
on the
entire
football field.
podcast is knee-jerk.
Yeah,
reactions.
that's the point.
It might be dispelled once he's on the football field, but you have to bring this stuff up, or you're like you can't just be like, "Oh, it was a great pick." You know,
Well, that's the thing. Like,
It's just
if
something. He's 6'1". If he starts to get banged up, what's going to happen? If he still believes he's better than Tyrod Taylor, what's going to happen? Is he going to cause a divide in the locker room? And Hugh Jackson, we know as a coach, isn't that great at managing situations. John Dorsey and Jimmy Haslam didn't tell Hugh Jackson before 2 days ago. What started coming out 2 days ago? Baker Mayfield to the Browns sounds really familiar.
You know what that kind of sounds like to me? Kind of sounds like what Chicago did,
Trubisky.
where John Fox didn't know until hours before they made that pick.
Well, and again, it's just something where I don't know for the first year what's going to happen with Baker Mayfield.
Right.
How is he going to react if he doesn't win the starting job? How is he going to react if they start losing? How is he going to react if he feels like he can start winning them games? It's going to add another chip again, but it's how will he handle that as an adult? Will he be mature enough to do that? It's just something that I want to throw out there.
What were you going to say?
So a couple notes on that. I think that Tyrod Taylor's used to being replaced as a starting quarterback, so I don't think there's a big concern there.
Five pick Peterman.
Yeah, I
five
mean,
PP.
If that man can get a start out, I mean, who's to say who can't? I think the thing that I want to go to with Baker is really more on the tape. Like when he's out there playing, when you're watching the games, he does stand out as the best player on the field. He does. He has that it factor to him that I can attribute. The thing that kills me about that is that I hear so many draft analysts talk about, well, with his height, he needs to be Drew Brees levels of this and, Russell Wilson levels of that. And I'm like, no, he can be himself. Like, I hate the, he has to fit in this box or he can't work. Like,
Yeah.
I think Baker Mayfield has a great assortment of qualities that kind of fit to his game, and he's learned to play around them and through them. Like, he knows he's not the tallest guy. He can't see over linemen who are 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", but he's mobile enough to get himself into a better position in the pocket. He knows how to use his legs. He knows he has the internal clock going. Like, I just, when you watch him play, that's where I fall in love with him. I understand and I respect the reasons why off the field he is a potential problem, but on tape, when you get that guy on the field, he just does everything you need him to do.
Again, I don't want to take away. On the field, he's a first number 1 overall pick talent. Again, the talent is there. It's the maturity of being a franchise quarterback.
The best thing I've ever heard him say during this draft process was, I can't remember what show it was at this point. It was probably the Dan Patrick show. And they asked him, who do you want to model your game after? And he said, there's 2 guys. First off was Drew Brees, because shorter guy, he's like myself, I kind of model that. And he goes, Brett Favre.
Yeah, Brett Favre.
Kind of that like gunslinger mentality and that like gamer mentality of like, I'm just going to go out there and compete and have fun doing it. Like, you could have just said Brett Favre alone. I would have been like, Baker, I love you. But like Drew Brees, and like if you're trying to model your game after those 2 guys, I know it's easier said than done. But like,
there's only one Drew Brees.
Those are 2 good guys to try to attain for if you're going for guys you want to be as successful as.
Does he start day 1, Baker Mayfield?
Tyrod starts day 1, and we're going to have to see what you said. Is it going to be what I think, and where he's just going to be like, all right, I'm not going to sit here and be okay with being complacent with being the backup, but I'm not going to cause a problem. Or like you said, might there be a problem if he's not starting day 1?
Where does Tyrod beat him on the field?
I think what it's going to be I'm seeing through training camp, I think it's going to be one of those things where it's like, you know what, just Tyrod is a better grasp of
much more
speed of the game, and he's been in the league longer, understands the playbook. Yeah. But I could see it being like a Mike Glenn and Trubisky situation where it's like, hey, you know what, we've lost 6 games to start this season. Let's yank him and put the kid in.
Well, that's the thing. This Browns team has made so many additions to bolster that offense that I think Tyrod Taylor can succeed. And Tyrod Taylor, no knock against him. He is a safe player. He is a very consistent short passer. He doesn't take risks, which is literally the reason why he got the boot. Was he won't be able to win you many games, but he won't lose you many games either. He is just that middle of the road guy. So I could see late in the season, if the Browns are out of contention, Baker gains some starts, but I don't think that. I think that's a glimpse. That's his true test. It might be week 14.
But he
15,
can definitely win. He has the chance to win the job this offseason.
That's the thing is, like, when I look
potentially.
at
very low on.
I'm going Tyrod, but there's a chance. It's Indiana Pacers. There's a chance.
The only thing that I think happens is that Tyrod has more experience over him.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't see where Tyrod Taylor beats Baker Mayfield on the field.
And that's why I'm saying I'm assuming Tyrod will start and then get replaced halfway to 3
I don't know. If Hugh Jackson's trying to save his job, why wouldn't he go with a better quarterback?
Well, that's like, is he better now? And does he know the offense? And now that it's Tyrod. But Tyrod, that's the thing. The thing is, Tyrod's already gone through a couple of systems.
Yeah, it's been
so he
Baltimore,
knows how. From Baltimore being a backup, then going up into Buffalo and having to learn their system. Like, I feel like he understands the process of, here's the book, memorize it 3 times over, pick out what you like, and go from there. And that's the thing where Baker's going to walk in from a college system where he had a bit of free will, to put it nicely.
Some improv.
Yeah. And now it's, here's the rules you're going to play by. And that's the thing, because like we talked about with someone else we'll get into later with Lamar Jackson, like, it depends on your fit to your quarterback. If your OC wants to run a system that isn't 100% in line, you could have issues. You know, it's easier for some people to grasp than others.
The whole thing with Baker, too, and this kind of goes back to maturity, is I think there was a rumor that he didn't learn the Chargers playbook before.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The Browns don't have to worry because the only playbook he didn't learn were the Chargers.
But that still worries me in some ways. I mean,
that doesn't like.
But if he's not willing to do that, like even if he doesn't want to go to the Chargers at 17, I understand that. Like that, if that's your mentality, like, oh, they don't have a chance of drafting me. But like, you got to give the respect there. Like I just, that rubs me the wrong way. Again, it's all about maturity. And if we're talking about a number 1 overall pick, it comes back to that maturity level. Yeah. On the field, I think he can win the job day 1, or start day 1. Again, the talent level is there, but will he put that work in to win that job right away? And obviously, again, people are going to bring this up. He won the job at Oklahoma. He put his work in to become a walk-on in 2 different programs. I just worry about, now that I'm in the show, now that I've proven enough to be the number 1 overall pick, where do I go from here?
The one thing, and the reason why I'm not using that Charger thing as too much of like a negative is we don't know what happened in his visits. We don't know if there was a team like the Cardinals or the Bills that, like, when he visited were like, hey, we really like you. If you get to us here, we are taking you. Where if I'm Baker Mayfield and the Cardinals did that at 15, I'd be like, well, why am I going to learn yours at 17? I'm not going to make it that far. So there's that where I play into it, but I can see where you're coming from, where it's like just common courtesy.
If you're making the effort to talk to them, you should respect them enough to.
If you have a job interview, you're not going to learn everything about the 2 companies that you're going to go to, even if you know you're going to get one job. If you're going to get, so let's say you have a job interview at one place that you for sure you're going to get, and you have a second one lined up as like a family friend. You're just going to go in there like, what's up? Like you're just going to go lay back and not get anything. I just think that's disrespectful.
No, I'm not saying like, because I've seen situations like that where it's like, hey, I've got 2 lined up this week. That first one went really well to where it's like, yeah, I pretty much got this job. And the second interview that week, you go into it and it's like, you still wear the suit and the tie, you go through but it's like, I'm just going through the motions at this point. I'm not really trying. And that's what I think maybe should have been done, where it's like, hey, I'll go through the motions, make it seem like I'm taking it, but I really don't want to go. Like, I don't think I'm going to fall there.
And maybe this is the reason, and this comes back probably to the whole quarterback class in general, is looking at the 5 quarterbacks, Baker, Sam, Josh, and Lamar. Everyone fluctuated on who their number 1 was. You at some point had Allen as your number 1 overall quarterback. Most people had Darnold. Some people had Baker number 1 overall.
And the thing I will say with the last 2 mocks, I said it when I did them, the first 2 picks of Allen, Darnold weren't what I would do. It's what I was hearing. Like Todd McShay was like, oh, they're going to go with Allen. So I'm like, oh, they'll go Allen. Giants
your last
at the time
big board,
like Darnold.
who was the number 1 quarterback?
Big board?
Yes.
The number 1 was Allen.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I had Josh Allen as my number 1.
All I'm trying to say is you had Allen.
Yeah.
Some people, I'm not trying to disrespect or anything. I'm just saying, I think really the who you liked as quarterback kind of reflected the personality that you were. John Dorsey, I think that he really vibed with Baker Mayfield. And I think it was something where
kind of like how the Giants like Darnold.
I vibe a lot with Josh Rosen because I feel a ton of Aaron Rodgers in him. And if I'm out on the field and I'm putting a guy out on the field, I want to feel like, this kid's going to be the next Aaron Rodgers. I know that we'll talk about him in a little bit, but I would rather have an Aaron Rodgers out there. I just don't think he fit with Cleveland, and I didn't think he was going to be the pick. I thought Darnold vibed with Cleveland. I thought he was going to be the guy in Cleveland. I thought he had everything to be the next quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, and it didn't come to fruition. And I just don't know if Baker is going to be the guy that takes them out of the deep hole they're in.
The dog pound?
Yeah.
The dog pound. Really,
Thanks, Dave.
Last thing I want to mention is we didn't really get to talk a huge part about him, but number 4, Denzel Ward, really quickly. I'll go to you first, Dave. What do you think of that? Taking Baker Mayfield 1, what do you think of the Ward at 4?
I get it was a need. It doesn't mean I have to like it. I still
think you want Bradley Chubb.
I would have gone Chubb.
Give me the Chubb.
I just think that Chubb has like a special factor to him, that his upside is higher than almost. I think it's literally like Saquon Barkley and then Bradley Chubb was
Some
my
are
number
saying
2.
he could be a better pass rusher than Myles Garrett, who went number 1.
It's insane how good this kid can be, and that's why I'm like, I get you need a corner. But go deep in this draft. Go in your second. You have like 3 second-round picks or something.
Yeah.
You've got a plethora of picks. I get
2
Denzel
at the
Ward was
beginning,
so
1
good,
at the end.
But in my mind, the difference between Denzel Ward and the next 3 corners versus Bradley Chubb and the next couple pass rushers is miles apart.
Yeah, I flipped a ton on which quarterback was my favorite. I'm fine that they went with their need. I think Chubb was a better player. Ward was a bigger need. I flipped on Josh Jackson being my favorite, Denzel Ward being my favorite. I'll even throw in Isaiah Oliver. Like, I flipped on who my favorite was. I'm fine with the pick at Denzel Ward. It's not a game changer, but you already have a pass rusher in Myles Garrett, and if you want to fill out and really make sure that defense is deeper and can hurt you on every single level, I understand the Denzel Ward pick.
No, and I'm the similar way, where the thing I find interesting about Ward is there are still a lot of people who are not high on him. Most people had him top 10, but there are some, like, you look at our comment section where they're like, Ward's going to be a bust, he shouldn't be a top 5er, and it's like people are still divided on Denzel Ward because of his height and his frame and everything that he brings. But I can see, Dave, where you're going because some people were like, hey, go at Bradley Chubb.
You're a
match
terrible
him up
team.
with
Pick
Myles
the
Garrett.
best player.
And it's like you can what's one of the things you can never have enough of is pass rush.
rushing. Oh, my God, yeah.
But, I mean, I can understand looking at the corners on their team.
But having better
they
pass
need
rush
someone.
improves your corners because the quarterbacks are put in more positions to make their throws.
But to quote Jim Morris Sr., their corners right now are diddly poo. They needed something. They needed something.
But you have so many
Ward
picks.
is that something. They do.
You could address it later.
But they get Harold Landry in the second.
Well, and that's the thing, though. The two guys that I love, Oliver and Josh Jackson, on the board, 33 and 35.
I'm surprised Josh Jackson fell.
Yeah.
I'm so surprised.
So those two guys, I mean, you could have had two corners, two starting caliber corners in my mind, at 33 and 35.
So we'll see. They've got lots of options. That's the upside. This Browns team is far away from done with this draft.
Real quick,
Notice how I didn't ask you guys for grades, and that's exactly why.
Damn it! I was just about to do that.
Are you giving do you want a first round grade?
B.
Go.
I'll give them a B. They address needs, just the wrong players in my mind. But again, Cleveland, if you love a guy, go get him.
I'll give them an A. They got the guy they want. They got the guy they want at quarterback, and they fit a need at cornerback.
If
cornerback, same thing.
If I wasn't on the mindset of go get the guy you love, it'd be like a C.
What would you be your first round grade?
It's a B plus. Like
Bradley Chubb would have made it an A plus.
It probably would have been. It probably would have been. Look, I love their picks, and like Sean said, like this draft, we came in very much of respecting the if it's your guy, go get your guy. I believe in what you're doing. I'm starting to throw out a lot of the but the value range here is X, Y, and Z. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the value range is if the pick pans out. Nobody's gonna look back and be like, "Wow, what was that?"
No one's gonna remember in 5 years that Denzel Ward was the 7th ranked player and he went 4th. As long as if he pans out, no one's gonna care.
Exactly. So I'm a B plus. I like the Baker pick. They could have done it a dozen different ways, but still, I think they got the guy they wanted there. Denzel Ward's a hard need for them. So B plus.
Well, this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below about the Baker pick, Denzel pick, and what you guys would give the Browns for their first round grade. Let's move on, though, into our next quarterback, guy drafted at numero trace on the board, Sam Darnold, going to the Jets, Jets. Fireman Ed might be happy with this one because the Sam Darnold, number one on most people's big boards. It was either Darnold, Rosen, Allen, whoever you liked, like Sean said in the first segment. Dave, I'll go to you first. Kind of spread the love between you and Sean.
Sure.
Did the Jets get their franchise winner? Did they get their franchise guy with Sam Darnold?
I think they did because Sam Darnold ended last year as probably one of the best quarterbacks in that group, and then he had to come back this year. Obviously, the team was a little less stacked. The performance a little less impressive. Anymore. Didn't have Juju. He had a shoddy offensive line. The weaponry around him was a notch down. His play was a notch down, but he still showed everything that you want to see out of him. And I think that, again, he is an NFL quarterback through and through. He has the pedigree already, which is scary levels because, I mean, the kid's 20. He's still young. He's probably 23. I have no idea. But point being, young kid, incredibly well handled for his age. He's a good quarterback. He is really there's no real concern unless you think that the whole his step down stat wise was more so on him, which early in the year he did have a problem. He got better as the year went on. Still.
I'm so pissed. As a Patriots fan, I'm so pissed. Now I have to deal with Jets fans because they have an actual quarterback that can throw the ball.
Yeah, they don't have Christian Hackenberg.
They're not dealing with gym teacher Josh McCown.
Hey, you put some respect on that name.
They're not dealing with Harvard grad Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Don't forget about Teddy Two Gloves.
Yeah, Teddy Two Gloves as well. No knees.
Don't need him.
Sam Darnold. I mean, this kid has everything to be a franchise quarterback, and I don't think he'll bust in a way that a Jamarcus Russell busted or anything like that. I think if he busts or if he doesn't pan out to be a franchise quarterback, he's still going to be in that Sam Bradford range where he still can be a starter. He'll be at starter level. I don't see him completely falling off the face of the earth. I don't see him, being out of the league in 3 or 4 years. Because I'm saying this, he's going to be out of the league in 3 or 4 years. But again, I look at him and I think, the biggest concern is turnovers. But even then, Jay Cutler still has a job because he has all the traits and he's still a leader.
Well, did have a job. We'll see if that happens.
Well, he had a job for what? If
he came out of retirement
years.
Because Tannehill got injured.
He had a job for 12 years in the NFL. That's a very long career. I think he's always going to be in the league. I think he's got everything to be good, and he has everything to be great. And I think the Jets here are thanking their lucky stars that they got Sam Darnold at 3. And again, we kind of talked about this a little bit. There was always this talk about Baker to the Jets. I think the Browns are originally thinking something along your lines of, let's get Saquon 1, Baker will be that 4.
Yeah.
And that's why maybe the Jets are like, well, let's see. We want Darnold. Let's see if we can push Dorsey the other way and see if we can get him to crumble and take Baker 1.
Well, and that's the thing, like, with this week, we even mentioned it Monday on the Onside Kick. The thing I hate about it is, like, a news story will come out, and it'll be like, now, is this really what they're thinking, or is it a smokescreen? And then you get the absolute garbage. We'll get into it a little bit with Alan, but I'm going to say it right now. The absolute garbage where I saw a tweet today where someone goes, when are we going to stop, like, just holding on to awful news and just releasing it on the biggest day of these kids' lives?
Yeah.
Like, then we get that side of it, too. My big question with Sam Darnold has nothing to do with can he, won't he, will he. It's, all right, they drafted him. See a day 1 starter. Because they bring the gym teacher back on a contract. They bring Teddy No-Knees in to be their backup. Josh McCown's really the guy, but for me, you drafted Sam Darnold. He's the guy day 1. My now concern is you better get him some wide receivers in the rest of this draft.
Let me give everybody and you guys a little bit of an analogy. You know when you go through the drive-thru at McDonald's and you get warm, piping hot fries, and you know you're probably going to burn the roof of your mouth, but they're piping hot fries and they're probably going to be delicious, and you're not going to save them until they get home because they're not going to be as hot. Sam Darnold's going to start day 1, even if you shouldn't be putting those fries in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have 2 quarterbacks that have been starters in the NFL, but you have piping hot fries in the bag. You're going to reach in and see what the kid can do. Because you're also in New York, and it's not like they're going to... If Josh McCown goes out and throws an interception and Sam Darnold's not starting, they're going to start booing. You draft this kid third overall, he better be ready to start.
It's the whole thing that they had with, if they don't start Darnold, it's kind of like Tim Tebow with Denver, where it's like 1 interception, bring in Tebow, dun, 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 dun.
So terrible. You don't put that on the rest of your team. I think that's the biggest thing.
I think Darnold's also better than Josh McCown and Teddy Bridgewater. That's what I'll be starting.
Probably. I mean, that's the biggest thing. We'll see how good he does as soon as they get into the early camps. I think he'll prove pretty quickly on. I mean, my thing is, like, I want to be that asshole. And during the last segment, we were talking about the Baker Mayfield to Manziel comparisons. Yeah. So let's go USC to USC with this boy. They both went to the Jets, and our man, the Sanchez, the Buck Humble himself.
Okay.
How do you avoid a situation where you have a quarterback come in and maybe peak early and then just dip off the face of the earth into your offensive lineman's asshole?
I think it's completely butt fumble.
Jesus.
I think
you could have said ass, but
I don't know why I added the whole.
No,
Dave just wanted to go full on in general.
Vulgar, I'm sorry.
The thing though that I think about with that is they're 2 totally different. Like, Mark Sanchez was, I'm gonna be out partying, I'm gonna be out with the hot girls. I don't see that with Sam Darnold. Like, he's not a party animal.
I don't.
Well, even on the field, they're just different.
No, I know. Like, for me, I don't think there's an A. Like, it's, we're comparing A and B. It's like, all right, we've got a mammal over here and an amphibian over here.
Wow,
how do you want me to look at these 2, Dave? Like,
I mean, I'm going WSC quarterback. Do the Jets just have a type? They're just hoping to find. They're still looking for their Joe replacement.
I think this was blatantly Todd Bowles. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a year where it's like, shit, I got to win or I'm losing my job. Especially because, like,
I got to win, so I'm going to go with a rookie quarterback.
I don't know. Think about it this way. We talked about Cleveland. Cleveland might be like, the Wolverine might be on a longer leash because it's not a wait. Not really long, but a longer where they just got rid of the Moneyball guy, so they're bringing in, they're kind of reeling
all
in
his picks that he earned.
Well, kind of the same Hinkie effect, but they're getting rid of that, so they're not blaming the Wolverine. And it's like, all right, we're in a market like Cleveland where it's the New York market. If you're not winning today, there's a problem. And Todd Bowles has had the job in this organization for a few years now.
But that doesn't mean he was a bad coach. I mean, look at that team last year.
But how many coaches have we seen where it's like, you're not a bad coach, but you didn't win, so we're getting rid of you?
They won 6 games last year. You picked them to go on. You picked them to be the Browns. You picked them not to win a game.
I did.
They won 6 games.
Yeah,
that's impressive. What they did with Josh McCown on the field as their quarterback was insane. Todd Bowles did a great job last year. Todd Bowles is not the problem in this franchise. The problem is they haven't had players with talent in years. Like that's the biggest thing. I don't think I'm real quick. I don't think this is anything about the New York market. I don't think this is anything about Todd Bowles not winning games or winning playoff games. He won 6 games. He over-succeeded. If he was going to be fired, he'd be fired after this year.
But what I'm saying is you're looking at those and saying, so I'm looking at this pick and saying that Todd Bowles might have been saying, all right, we won 6 games last year, but I know with these fans, this market, my management, that's not good enough. 1 year, that's fine. This year, we got to have more than that. Do I want to roll out the gym teacher again, or do I get my franchise guy right here? That's what I'm saying, that this pick was him saying, I'm getting my guy here because they could win more games with Sam Darnold.
But why wouldn't you do that? That's the thing. Is like, of course you would do that. You look at this roster. They did absolutely nothing. They haven't had a franchise quarterback. I wouldn't even say franchise quarterback since Mark Sanchez. They have not had a franchise quarterback really since Chad Pennington, and Pennington had major injury issues.
I love Pennington.
I mean, he was.
I'm
really
sorry.
He would have been good if he
was such a smart guy.
If he was
we
healthy.
are Marshall, baby.
But again, it's with Todd Bowles. It was a clear need. You need a franchise quarterback.
Oh, they were going They traded up for this pick to go quarterback.
And even if they didn't at 6, they would have taken a quarterback. They needed a franchise quarterback. That was clear, plain and simple. I don't think this was because Todd Bowles' job is on the line. I don't think this is just a clear need that they had. It's like the Bears last year.
You can't roll into a season with your starting quarterback being 37 and a guy with injury history.
It was like the Bears last year. The Bears. Again, we really didn't think that the Bears were going to go and trade up for Mitch Trubisky. We didn't even know if they were going to take Mitch Trubisky with that 3rd overall pick. Jamal Adams was being thrown out there. But now we look back and we're like, why wouldn't have they taken Mitch Trubisky? You look at that and you needed a franchise quarterback. Mike Glennon was not the guy. I think they clearly realized that, hey, we finally need a quarterback. We haven't had a quarterback in years. Every single team that's winning has a franchise quarterback. We need that guy. I think that was all they did. I think they did due diligence. I think they clearly made the right choice. I think the Jets just saw a need and went out and addressed it.
Well, and I'm not saying that they weren't going to go quarterback, but I mean, you look at it, they could have gone Josh Allen. They could have even gone I'll go back to the way back prediction and kind of comparison was when we were all going Darnold and Rosen, 1-2, who is going to be number 1. And for me, I love this pick because it's like with Josh Allen, the whole thing is Sean's in the camp of he's going to be a bust. There are some people that are like he's going to have to sit for a few years. Where
I'm in both.
The Jets don't have time. The Jets don't have 2 or 3 years for a guy to sit. So Josh Allen's out the window. Then for them it becomes Darnold, Rosen, and for me Darnold's a better pick because not only can he start day 1 with Rosen, it's like okay, both of them can start day 1. But you know what? Questions with this guy. No questions with this guy.
Seriously, the squeaky
Sam
clean
Darnold.
whistle. That's there. There's nothing to not like about Sam. It's annoying how likable he is as a player.
His hair is amazing.
It is. You gotta be a little jealous of that shit.
Amazing.
That's why I think he's like Barney Stinson. Never has a bad picture.
He could be. He entirely has the potential. I think that it's the ideal fit for the Jets. It's the ideal fit. Maybe not for him because obviously. It's not the easiest place to play in. It's a large media market. The weather is constantly a pain in the ass. Heavy wind. Look,
let's be honest.
It's not like it's going to be a problem for him. But
let's be honest. He was in a big college market with Southern Cal.
I mean, that was the football team in Southern Cal before the Rams came along. Even then, no one showed up to their playoff game.
Exactly.
So. I just with Darnold again, it's a clear pick for them. I'm not trying to bash the pick or anything. It was clear that they needed a franchise quarterback. They went out and got him. I think they had an absolute home run. Best pick of the draft was probably Sam Darnold because that was the number 1 quarterback going into the day. He's still the number 1 quarterback coming out of the day in my mind. Well, at least I think franchise wise, I still like Josh Rosen as a player, but if you want a guy that's going to be a safer pick and still have near that ceiling, Sam Darnold's that guy.
By the way, just some revisionist history on your part, calling them different species. Darnold's best year versus Sanchez's last year, extremely similar stats across the board. I believe you're forgetting how amazing that USC team was with Sanchez. But
I'm saying NFL, like the whole, not just on the field, but like
they're both college players.
Off the field, they were 2 different guys. Like Sam Darnold, I'm way more confident in being successful with the Jets than yes, Sanchez was early with Rex Ryan.
I think it's
and that
easy to see
defense.
now what Sanchez is. I'm just saying at the time we're seeing such a small portion of these guys. So I just want to be like before you go on your high road there.
I was just being an asshole, to be honest. But here's the thing I think about. So this is now a team that doesn't have a pick until the third round. So they don't have a pick until late tomorrow. Well, as you guys are watching this, late today. Then they have 4 picks in day 3. I want to ask you guys, how do they now can they build around him in the draft? Because I look at their depth chart right now. Yeah, they have Jermaine Kearse. Yeah, they have Terrell Pryor. But that Terrell Pryor where it's are you confident with him being your number 2 on the other side?
Well, is it going to be Browns Terrell Pryor or is it going to be Redskins Terrell Pryor?
Exactly. They have they do have Devin Smith. They do have Anua, who I believe was injured last year.
He played pretty well, though.
The thing I think of, though, is this draft, they need to grab a wide receiver. They need to grab a wide receiver with that 3rd or that 4th.
Yeah.
They need to get Sam Darnold some help, or else I wouldn't be surprised if they're back to 6 or 5 wins, even with Sam Darnold as their quarterback.
Tight end wise, do they still have Austin Seferian-Jenkins as well?
No, they have their starting tight end on here is Jordan Leggett. They have Walford, Eric Tomlinson, Neil Sterling, and then Bucky Hodges.
Who doesn't love Clive?
Clive Walford, off of waivers.
But with Darnold, I think it's just something with looking at that weapon. I think people will expect a lot of results so far, but I think this is going to be very similar to the Carson Wentz build, where Carson didn't have immediate weapons right away in Philadelphia, but you saw the promise. And I think that's going to be kind of similar to Sam's build. You have decent players out there.
Yeah.
I mean, Jermaine Kearse was really good last year. Quincy Enunwa, again, showing potential at some points. You got a lot of tall receivers as well. I mean, those are some pretty big guys that you listed off. But I think it's going to be more similar to the Eagles build with Carson Wentz, where they're just trying to get their feet set. Let's see how he does in his first year. It's not going to be a big deal because we know he's a franchise guy. And then go get the
Torrey Smith, Alshon Jeffrey.
And win yourself a ring.
Yeah, and win yourself a ring.
You could draft a guy next year, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I agree. I think, top to bottom, this was a smart move for them. As long as they continue on drafting for him. It is clearly his team moving forward. Like Sean said, as long as you keep adding pieces, and it doesn't need to, you don't need to go and try to reach for another, potential, crazy high potential guy. Just get guys around him who can be consistent contributors and help him out, because otherwise he ends up in a situation where he's just going to get railed because he is their only offensive weapon, and he's just stuck.
Well, you got the engine, and now you just got to build the body of your dream car.
Here's the thing I want to ask, and Sean, I'm going to go to you first because this is going to be a question that hurts you the most. Tom Brady, when he does leave, Sam Darnold will still be hopefully playing for the Jets. When Brady does leave, so give me a prediction of when Brady does leave. When he does, whatever year that is,
2023.
Will Sam Darnold, I don't know why I said Bradford, Sam Darnold, will he then bring the Jets to the top of the division once Brady's gone?
He will play 2 more years, Tom Brady, so he'll play next year and the year after that.
So 2019 will be his last year.
After winning 2 Super Bowls.
Against 2. Just go full into it.
Defeats the Eagles this year. Ooh, and then next year he'll defeat the Chicago Bears.
Okay.
He'll battle Mitch Trubisky.
The battle of the goats.
Both quarterbacks will throw 60 times in the game.
But will Sam Darnold then bring the Jets to number 1 once Brady leaves? Will he become the king of the... either immediately or years after, when Brady leaves, will Darnold be the king of this division with the Jets?
At some point, yes, because he's going up against Josh Allen. He'll win that battle every single time. That's
a hot take. Yeah. Save this one, and we're gonna use it for cold takes.
As long as you're making takes, Sean,
bring it freezing cold takes.
Is Darnold going to be the best quarterback at the end of their career?
So
in this draft
class? Yep.
No, I'll take Josh Rosen. That's the one that's going to bite me. That's the one that's going to bite me because he's probably going to get injured. Darnold will be a playoff quarterback, and I think he'll take the Jets to the playoffs. It will probably be his division for a couple of years once Brady has retired.
Will it be with Todd Bowles? Or does Bowles get fired from now until Brady leaves?
That one's tougher. I'll say yes.
Okay.
That Todd Bowles will get fired.
And that's a new coach that
2 years
gets the potential.
Why not?
Out of Sam
None
Darnold.
of this is going to happen.
What do you think, Dave?
They'll trade Darnold for a bag of nickels or something.
I like that one.
A bag of dimes.
Buffalo nickels, though.
Yeah, Buffalo nickels. 1982 Buffalo
They'll
nickels.
trade Darnold and Allen for nickels. So they'll get Allen and then get the nickels, and then Darnold will go to the Bills.
But the nickels can't play nickel corner.
No,
they can't do that.
Or they can't play nickelback.
This is what happens when you record at 1 in, people.
What do you think, Dave?
I
God,
think
it is one.
Close too.
I think he is probably not going to be the best quarterback, but I think he's going to be one of the most consistent. Like, I see him, and I don't want a direct comparison because they're not the same player. I see him as like the equivalent of a Philip Rivers.
Okay.
Like, he is a good passer.
He's your starting quarterback for a decade.
Yeah,
but
he'll be overshadowed by better talents throughout his career, but he'll be consistently very good.
He won't
he's had to deal with injuries though with wide receivers. That's with Philip Rivers.
But also, I mean, like that's the one thing.
But he also won't rock the boat.
Out of that draft class, he has better stats than Eli, but Eli has the rings, and Big Ben has the rings, and then has similar stats. So that's why Rivers is always seen as the third best quarterback. But Philip Rivers has been phenomenal there. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Who's going to be the best quarterback though?
I don't know yet. I don't know.
So it's not going to be Darnold.
It's not Darnold. I'm on the fence between. I want to say Baker, but that man is like lava, man. He could be amazing. He could be like used up garbage by literally week 16.
So I'm gonna make two hot takes here.
Yep.
I'm gonna say one, the first
not gonna be Allen.
The first year after Brady retires, the Jets will win the division with Sam Darnold.
What?
Number two, the best quarterback when it's all said and done will be Lamar Jackson.
Wow.
Lamar Jackson will be the best
takes.
one from
I love
this.
the AM
He
hot
will be
takes.
the best one. Like, I like the Darnold thing with Philip Rivers. I can see that. It's either to me going to be Jackson or Darnold are the best from it, but I'm going to go with Jackson.
I would rather have Sam Darnold be the better quarterback than Lamar Jackson because we passed on him twice, and
Well,
it's the
Patriots.
Sean's going to crumble.
Weirdly enough, hate the Ravens more than I do the Jets.
You will. But this is where you guys come in. Jet fans, let us know what you think of the Darnold pick. Did you get your franchise winner and what the Jets need to do the rest of today because day 2's going on while this goes up. And then day 3 will be tomorrow. But let us know what you think of this first round pick down below in the comment section. Let's move on, though, into the next pick, actually, in the title. First non-quarterback to be in a title. Tremaine Edmonds making his way in there. You're welcome. As Dave's, you're welcoming to Tremaine Edmonds that he's in there. But really, the meat and potatoes of this is Josh Allen. And the Bills getting 2 picks, getting up for Josh Allen. They take Tremaine Edmonds later on. Are these guys the centerpieces for the Bills?
First off, I love that the Bills traded up twice. We talked about them trading up like big to get one quarterback. I like how they still had 2 picks in the first round and smartly moved up. I like that idea from the Bills. I think Tremaine Edmonds could be a centerpiece on that defense. It's going to take time for him to become that. And you guys probably know my stance on Josh Allen. I think it's going to take a while for him to become a centerpiece. Does he have the potential to do so? Yes. But he has the lowest floor, in my mind, out of all 5 of the quarterbacks that went in the first round. This kid, yes, he has a massive arm, can throw 80 yards, has massive power. But outside of that, he has a big frame, has some mobility for that frame, but outside of that, I see nothing positive in his tape. Again, people talk about his work ethic, people talk about his drive, people talk about his competitiveness, but I was listening to a local radio show where the Chicago Bears long snapper, Pat Manley, came in and said, I hate when people say, oh, he's a competitor, because we're all competing. It's a competition. It's sports. That's what we fucking do.
Some guys turn it up to another level. Like Baker Mayfield,
There's a level of
turns
intensity.
it up to another
But
level.
with mayo spread on white bread, Josh Allen here.
Yeah.
Wyoming doing nothing out there.
I don't see him being I don't see franchise quarterback in him.
What do you think, Dave?
I mean, I think Sean's line of logic, I sort of see where he's going with this bust word that he refuses to say out loud, so I'll just say bust. Just get out of the way, Sean. Be a man about it. No, I think Josh Allen, he has...
Dave coming hard tonight.
I don't even care. I'm gonna be wrong, and they're gonna yell at me. I don't care, Bob. I don't care. Buffalo. I think they did the 2 things they need. They got themselves a quarterback, and they got themselves a linchpin of that defense to build on for the future. I think both of those were needs, and they hit them both. I'm cool with that. I think they took the wrong Josh with the pick. It's fine. I respect that. Josh Allen, though, I will give you the credit. Like Sean said, physically, he's got all the tools. What has he been able to put together so far? Nothing. I don't think that that's super promising at all. I mean, I made the comment during the draft about Bortles equivalency. Yes, he's got a big body. He he is all there physically, but when it comes to playing the game at a high level against a high level competition, we're yet to be seen. So could he compete at the next level and do well? Absolutely. He has every reason he should be able to do so. Can he put it all together when it comes time for him to start? I don't know. I've got massive questions, and I hope that he doesn't get pushed into a role where he has to play in the first year, because he is the least NFL ready quarterback that we have seen.
The least NFL ready?
I might say Lamar might be more least NFL ready.
Really?
Yeah, to step in and
Lamar's
play.
a much more accurate passer.
I would say that Lamar would be, because Lamar also played with a pro-style head coach in college and a pro-style system.
No, I'm just saying, looking at his body, looking at his ability to read, I think he gets by, and he did get by in ACC play with his athleticism, and that he's a dual threat. Maybe he'll get by in the NFL like that, but I would say from a quarterback standpoint, I would say Lamar is less ready. Just from reading NFL defenses, putting the ball in the money. I mean, Lamar Jackson isn't supremely accurate as well. Both guys had under 60% completion percentage in college. I'm just saying in that I think that Lamar Jackson needs more work and more tweaking on his mechanics than Josh Allen does, because it seems like Josh Allen, from the time of the end of the bowl game to now, it seems like he's been working a ton on his mechanics and shoring up those abilities. So, and I think Josh Allen also, you hear a ton about him in the game, in the film room, making sure, reading defenses, seeing what it's like. He seems like a very smart kid and understands football. I would say that will help him be more NFL ready than Lamar Jackson is, because you don't really hear that coming out for Lamar Jackson. So I would say Lamar probably talent-wise is more ready, but I think to actually go out, read defenses, I think Allen might be more ready.
Now, here's what I always go back to with Josh Allen is the good thing for the Bills is they don't have to throw him in right away.
Right.
They signed A.J. McCarron, and looking at his contract, they have him for this year. Potential out, kind of like Mike Glennon with the Bears, but we do have him next year it's $3 million instead of $900K. That $2 million signing bonus helps this year though, so it's kind of backloaded that way. But they have him for this year. They probably have him for next year. The thing though, when I looked at Josh Allen's tape, was it's like he's got the arm, he's got the size, he's a good athlete. It's like he's not Lamar Jackson level of athlete. But he's a good athlete. He can get out of the pocket, and it reminded me of Big Ben, where it's like, I'm not going to scramble to get you 5-10 yards. I'm going to scramble to extend the play, and there were some where it's like guy would be draped on him, and he brushes him off and throws it. The two things I didn't like, accuracy was one where I feel like in the right system with the right throws, like building your system around a quarterback. I know they mentioned that with Lamar a lot, where it's like
trying to hide his deficiencies.
Yeah, let's not try to Jared Goff is a guy they bring up. They tried to Jeff Fisher slam the square peg into a square hole. It didn't fit. Where McVay came in and said, "Hey, we got the square. Let's build the mold around it." Yeah. Where maybe they got to do that a little bit. The biggest thing I didn't like was decision making, where he'd be running outside. I'm going to throw it, and then boom, Josh Jackson picks it off and is going 90 yards to the house.
Another thing that stuck out to me was under pressure. He just his ability to be a quarterback went out the window. Again, he tried to extend plays, but it was similar to Jay Cutler, where the mechanics went out the window. And he'd be throwing off his back foot. He'd be scrambling. His feet wouldn't be set. He'd be throwing, not with his shoulder pointed to the wide receiver, where he'd have his feet wide out, spread out more like this instead of this. And he has the arm talent to do that. But again, that's not going to be leading to accurate passes, and obviously shows in the stats.
Could that be a coaching thing though? Like could a guy like Sean McDermott?
Are you getting top level coaches at Wyoming?
No, but
I mean the coaches are good, but it's not like you're
coach
getting,
was Carson Wentz's coach.
Yeah, it's not like you're getting
so
Sean You're not getting NFL talent.
But that was one thing that he's worked off in the offseason with I think Trent Dilfer's been a part of it. Working on his footwork and his mechanics. That's one thing that people have really said about Josh Allen. But another thing that sticks out to me is they didn't let him throw the ball. Wyoming was not a good team. He threw the ball 270 times in Wyoming. I mean, that's not a ton. He only completed 152 passes. Lamar Jackson, we're talking about him as not a pure passer, threw the ball 430 times last year. I mean, that kid was the offense, but Josh Allen in the Big Sky or whatever the hell Wyoming plays against Wyoming competition, as the best player on the team, a top 10 pick, only throwing the ball 270 times. In this style of the NFL where we are going out, we're throwing the ball every single play over 30 times in a game, that doesn't bode well for me.
Pace of the offense.
Mountain West, by the way.
Mountain West.
Yeah, and
it used to probably be Big Sky, I think. They're the Big Sky State, I think.
It's very much the pace of the game that they played, and that's the thing that he may have to adjust to at the NFL level is being asked to do more. And like you said, already under the questionable decision making went under the gun in those critical situations. So if we're going to pin more and more on him, how is he going to be able to take all that on? You said he's a good student of the game. He's very interested in spending time in the locker room, watching tape, watching film of the game. But unless he can put it together on the field when it matters, like it doesn't matter. Maybe you should be a coach if it doesn't work for him. Like I get it, you care about the game, but you have every reason to be good at this game. He needs to figure out how to put together. Thankfully, like you said, A.J. McCarron provides the safety blanket of you don't have to go out there and prove it day one.
Well, and I mean, you mentioned this before the podcast, Dave, and I get this could happen where it's almost like Trubisky with the Bears, where he's not going to start. Glennon's the starter. Shit, how many games in? All right, we're going to go to Trubisky.
Like, let's be realistic. How much are we hurting ourselves?
I hope that doesn't happen because to me, Trubisky coming in and Josh Allen coming in, two different levels. Like, first off, Trubisky didn't have the decision-making questions that we were asking about Josh Allen. Plus, Trubisky was never a guy we said, oh, he's going to wait for 2 years. It was, oh, he'll sit for one because they have Mike Glennon, but it was never like Trubisky will be a 3-year guy.
What was the biggest knock on Mitch?
For Mitch?
Yeah.
Only played
13
a couple
games in college.
Yep.
Josh Allen has showed much less in much more games. That's a problem to me. Of course, like there's the big arm, there's the big traits. My dad, who barely ever talks about NFL draft, comes out and says he loves Josh Allen. Big arm, and then use the muscle emoji. It's like, again, these guys can have big arms, but what are you doing on the field with your talent?
How much did that big arm work for Jay Cutler?
Exactly. Well, but that's different
Jay
though because
didn't care.
Jay had
Still won.
But I'm saying is big arm quarterback
Yeah.
doesn't mean championship quarterback.
Right.
The guy that I go to is Rex Grossman. All right?
Sexy Rexy.
Under 58% completion percentage in college. That was in the SEC, by the way. Still, again, that whole number that I love about yards per attempt. Under 7 for Rex, under 7 for Josh. You want that over 7 because that means, hey, we're taking shots more down the field. We're taking bigger shots, and we're just not completing those passes. In averaging 6.6 yards per attempt for Josh Allen and completing like 56% of those passes, and he's not having that big of a workload. Those stats mean something. To be a great NFL quarterback, you need to dominate at your level. You're going up against Mountain West competition, and you're not dominating. You're going up against big competition, Big Ten competition in Iowa. Not even the cream of the crop there. A good program with Kirk Ferentz, but not the cream of the crop, and you look abysmal out there. That speaks levels to me. Again, what he does and puts work in the offense, it's commendable. Great job, Josh. Go out and do that. But again, it's something, and I think, we didn't talk about this yet, but the whole thing with Josh Allen, like, I do have some sympathy for him because obviously it seemed like there was a pre-planned attack against him to release those tweets. Again, I'm not condoning those tweets. I don't know the context of those tweets, but that didn't seem like someone saying, oh, hey, this kid might have issues and not be, open and fair and a respectable person to every human being. It was more of, I want my client to go higher than Josh Allen. That's what it
was about
seemed
millions of dollars in the air.
If it was actually coming from a caring place, then I would have cared. But that seemed more like a pre-planned attack. So I do feel a little bit for Josh Allen there. I'm glad that he's getting the opportunity at 7. But what I have seen from Josh Allen on the field makes me, again, very worried about him being an NFL quarterback, and more worried about him being an NFL quarterback than Baker Mayfield. And Baker Mayfield isn't mature at all, but Baker Mayfield went on the field and proved it.
The one thing I'm going to fact check you with from earlier, because I just looked into it, is correct that the Wyoming coach did have Carson Wentz, but he was the head coach for Carson his first 2 years when Carson had 16 and 30 attempts. So Carson wasn't the starter until after Bull left. So it's like, he coached Carson Wentz, but was Carson Wentz.
But how many NCAA or
that
Division
was
II champions?
There were 4 straight,
that was the guy who won 3
the
in a row.
guy's still not a coach.
Yeah, he knows how to coach. But I just don't want someone to go, Carson wasn't a starter at that point.
Yeah, they're probably going to yell at me when it takes about Josh Allen. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, for me with Josh Allen, it's like I see the traits of a quarterback that can...
Are we just looking at checklists, basically? I mean, that's what I feel like. You have the guys who are like, he's over 6'2", he weighs this much, he can run a 40 in this time. Like, I feel like it's become so mechanical that like people throw tape out of the window at this point. And like, I hate the line, but do you even watch the games? Like, that's what when I come back, you can check all these boxes, but if you watch him play, you don't see someone who can compete at the next level.
Wouldn't it be asinine to say a 6'1" quarterback just went number one overall like 5 years ago? So the fact that I think that's boding well for
it's trending in the right direction.
It's trending in the right direction. The fact that Baker went number one is a huge win for quarterbacks because it really isn't putting you in a box anymore.
Yeah. Like the thing that you mentioned, like when I watched the film for all of these guys, it wasn't, and this goes for any of the top 5 guys, I didn't watch their film and go, man, this guy's going to be a bad pro. I always looked at it where it was like, all right, here's some things that I don't like. Here's some things that like they'll have to work on. But with all 5 of them, I thought, yeah, these guys can be drafted and produce at the college level. Are all of them going to be championship Super Bowl guys? No. But like with Josh Allen, it's going to be the big thing for me is decision making. Is what like are you going to be able to fix that at the next level? Because these corners up here, these safeties up here, they'll jump all over you if they know what you're going to do. You gotta learn to look them off.
The thing is just, again, I looked at him, I watched his tape, I took in everything that I read about this kid, and it's the reason why he was my 5th quarterback in coming into this draft. I'm not a fan of him. I don't see franchise quarterback in him. And like you said, you could see the potential in everyone else. Josh Rosen was my favorite quarterback. I think he has the ability on the field. Baker Mayfield proved it that he was that he has the ability to win games. Sam Darnold, again, has every single thing in a nice package. He's a leader. He's good on the field. Sam Darnold is pretty much the perfect quarterback prospect that you'd like. Lamar Jackson has the athletic ability that we really don't see at that quarterback position. Josh Allen, you could pick apart his tape every single play. There was always typically something wrong with his play.
I wouldn't say there were a few good plays.
75% of the time there was something going wrong in one of his plays. Like again, even if it ended up in a completed pass, footwork was a problem. Again, like just his mechanics were problems. Well, that's one thing where if there's a guy who I'm saying he's not a franchise guy, it's easily Josh Allen.
The only thing that's going to make this bad is if we're still saying this 2 years down the line.
That's true.
That's it. Like,
if he hasn't grown in that time period, he's a project. We all know that.
Yeah, we're not expecting these guys to come in and boom, Super Bowl year 1.
I mean, yeah, not everybody can year 2 Carson Wentz it, but let's be honest.
Well, Carson Wentz didn't even Carson Wentz it.
I know he was on track.
Well, he got him to the playoffs. So.
He was on the right pace. But my point
Who won
being,
the games in the playoffs? Nick Foles, baby.
He's equal to some say to Peyton Manning. Yeah, some say.
Both threw 7 touchdowns in the game.
Yep, that happened. My point being, or my question that I want to get to is Josh Allen, like every one of these quarterbacks, Sean kind of lists off a couple of things that made them special and stand out. What makes Josh Allen special? What makes him such a highly rated player? Is it just his body? I mean, is there something that he does better than everyone?
Can I jump in real quick because this is more of a bitchy remark? What he can do is he can throw the ball 80 yards in a dome with no one pressuring him.
Is that a combine joke?
Yeah, it's a combine joke. Oh, he threw the ball 80 yards with no defenders in shorts with no wind.
That was a bomb, though. That was a bomb.
All right, that's
all respect.
Okay.
That was a bomb.
Can the guys at the longest drive competition win the Masters? Fuck no.
I mean,
there's a reason they're not playing in the pros.
No Happy Gilmore here.
No Happy Gilmore. But like for me, my 2 best traits that I like in Josh Allen is 1, the arm, because he's got tremendous arm strength. Number 2 is what I said.
You're impressed by my arm sometimes.
Your arm? You just throw fast. That's why.
He hurt
my he farves it and hurts my hand. But the other thing
anyone can throw hard, baby.
The other thing I like about it is when I was watching the tape and he did scramble out, it was like I said, where it reminded me of Big Ben, where it's like I'm gonna extend, have this big body, so
tackles.
I'm not gonna be easily swallowed up, and I can extend the play, and then with my arm, I can get that down the field and not short arm it.
Out of the last couple of Super Bowls, who's been the strong-armed quarterback who's won them?
And that's the thing is
strong arm is great.
Strong arm doesn't get you.
That's not what wins you a championship.
You got to have this.
Yeah,
that's the thing, and that's where I think
it's a lot of things. It's not just the arm.
With these 2 years, we're going to have to see improve. Like, I'm not on the level of Sean to where it's like, oh, Josh Allen's a bust. I think that, like, I see the good in his game and I see what he could be. It's just, for me, he's got this. It's just fixing the decision-making and then being a little bit more accurate. Because, like I asked Brandon when we talked about the quarterbacks, was his accuracy all just accuracy, or was some of that accuracy making poor decisions, ill-advised decisions, instead of making the better decision?
But even then, good quarterbacks can it's something where you're playing against Mountain West competition. You're making the wrong decisions against worse defenses, and you're still not able to be accurate. Like, again, the guy that you keep comparing to, Big Ben. Big Ben was seen as the best quarterback in the MAC conference his junior year. Josh Allen wasn't. Josh Allen was seen as the third best quarterback in the Mountain West. In Ben Roethlisberger's junior year, 69.1% completion percentage, 4,486 yards, threw the ball almost 500 times, had a 37-10 touchdown to interception ratio. Again, Big Ben had the body. He had the ability, but he also proved it. And that's the thing. Until Josh Allen proves it, I am not buying into him being a franchise quarterback.
And that's complete. Like, I can see that towards, like, okay,
you make a compelling case, Sean.
He didn't produce. I'm not going to buy into it. For me, the thing I relate it to is my experience throughout music, where it's like, I'm not getting something with my fingers. Sometimes having a different teacher, someone else, show you something in a different way. Like, maybe with the decision making, his coaches were showing him one thing and it's just not clicking, where Sean McDermott's going to show him another thing and it's going to be like, oh, aha.
Okay, so we want a former defensive coordinator to teach Josh Allen how to play quarterback?
Oh, I'm not saying teach, but like, just because I'm a defensive coach doesn't mean I'm not going to help the quarterback.
Okay,
like,
we want to.
Yeah, it's going to be the offensive staff that works on the most.
We want Sean McDermott, who made the decision to play Nathan Peterman over Tyrod Taylor, to be teaching him how to read.
Fine, Brian DeBall, the offensive coordinator. Maybe it's just having a different voice show you something. Like, my point is a different voice showing you something different that maybe clicks something.
And maybe I think the better chance of him doing that was Trent Dilfer, former first-round pick, won a Super Bowl with Baltimore. Wasn't that great on the field, but still, I mean, that doesn't mean you can't be a good coach.
Dime, baby.
And one thing, I mean, Trent speaks very highly of him. Trent also had some terrible takes on NFL Network. Not trying to discredit his on ESPN.
He has been off.
Not trying to discredit his coaching
shots
abilities.
All over the place today.
No, I'm not trying to throw shots at him. I was just trying to be a dick.
There's a difference.
But
trying to say Trent's word is not gospel.
No, but I also think that Trent has the ability to teach a quarterback. Like, again, he's been in those shoes. And Brian, again, former Patriot guy, former Alabama guy. I just don't know if Brian didn't make Tom Brady Tom Brady. You know, he didn't make Jimmy Garoppolo. I just don't know, again, if he has the right coaches around him. And again, you got to prove it at some point. And for 2 years, we won't know if he's going to be able to prove it. And when will the Bills' whole window close? And another thing is, Buffalo doesn't have a great offensive line. They just got rid of Cordy Glenn. They just got rid of their best piece. Richie Incognito just retired.
To be honest,
you're going to put a terrible quarterback behind a terrible offensive line?
TBH, we do have picks. They do have picks to use the rest of this draft to fill that tackle spot. Like, they signed a guy, but it's like, the health of that line has been a question.
All right, Connor Williams is still available. Connor Williams be on the board. Orlando Brown, will Orlando Brown be on the board? Even if you take Orlando Brown, let's talk about a kid who's not motivated, not putting his all into the biggest day of his life in the combine. I don't buy into this Josh Allen pick at all. And I hope he proves me wrong. I'm not wishing ill on any of these quarterbacks, but if I'm picking one guy and betting my car again,
well, you don't have it.
It's a joke. If I had to bet my car again on one of these guys not panning out in the NFL, it's Josh Allen, and I'm not blinking.
So you're going to bet your next car?
Yeah, I'm going to bet my non-imaginary children or whatever that guy said.
Non-existent.
Non-existent children. I just don't buy into this Josh Allen pick. I do like what Buffalo did because, again, you're going after potential in Josh Allen, and you go after and get Tremaine Edmonds, a 19-year-old that's super raw, has a ton of athleticism. I love that pick because he proved something on the field at Virginia Tech, and you just see the ceiling being massive and the floor being, fairly low. I see Allen's ceiling maybe being a Big Ben, but his floor being horrible. Like absolute Brock Osweiler garbage. I just don't see Josh Allen panning out.
Well, and we'll have to see with Josh what happens. You mentioned Tremaine Edmonds. My little thing about that is just this defense is getting better. Tremaine Edmonds, youngest player in this draft, has to me the most to kind of grow. I don't want to say grow. That's the word I'm looking for. I was going to say gain, but they have Kyle Williams. They make the Washington pick. They get Shaq Lawson. Adding another pick like Tremaine Edmonds just makes this defense a little bit better. To me, the biggest question was that quarterback, though. And will Josh Allen be the guy to be a
regardless of if they pick the guy or not, they got their quarterback of the future. That's our answer.
Here's the last thing I want to ask into this, and I saved this to last because it really doesn't matter, but I still want to get your guys' opinion on it. What do you guys think of the whole, not really what happened with Josh Allen, with the whole tweet coming out, just the overall of how many times do we have, we found this out about a player, let's stash it away. And then, day of the draft, we're going to drop this bomb on them. Biggest day of your life, we're going to drop it on you. I
think Sean kind of hit it on the head. It's definitely maliciously done, and I feel like it's done by another player's agent.
You think so?
It's due diligence.
Okay.
It's you're out to get your guy the best chance and to make the most money. How do you do that? You can tank other people's stock if they did something stupid in their past.
Because the thing that Shefty said today, and Shefty was like, I'm not saying our team did this, but he goes, back in January, all the teams kind of scoured through the social media, and none of these tweets were found by nobody.
Right.
Josh Allen already went through and said, shit, this don't look good. Delete, delete, delete.
Yep.
Someone found it before, and he goes, I don't know if it was another team that wanted him to fall to them, so they're like, okay, we're going to hang on to this. Was it another player's agent that's like, hey, screw this guy. My quarterback is a lot better than that. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I just think it's shitty to, especially with this, because it's all the way back in high school. Like you said in our text group, Dave, thank God that when you go to job interviews that people are not taking what I said in high school and stuff and acting as what I am right now.
Exactly.
I just think it's shitty that we, on the biggest day of these kids' lives, we drop something like that they did in high school to ruin their day.
It's 1:15 a.m., so I'm totally buying into conspiracy theories.
Go ahead.
Who was the guy that was drafted behind Josh Allen?
Josh Rosen.
Who was pissed off that he wasn't taken higher?
So you're saying Josh Rosen's agent?
Whose family is fairly well off?
Josh Rosen?
Just saying.
I was really hoping you'd go there.
The one thing...
I'm just saying. I'm not Charlie
from the shoe fits.
Charlie in the mailroom.
Carol!
From It's Always Sunny. But I would be putting pictures up, and maybe strings would be attaching.
Well, you guys in our text group, I'll say this because it didn't happen.
Sure.
My conspiracy theory after it came out, I got this aha moment of, oh, shit. After Shefty said it could have been a team, I'm thinking, all right, Baker goes number 1. Darnold goes to the Jets. Bills trade up for Allen. And our Bills trade up for Josh Rosen. Then I'm like, Cardinals trade up for Lamar Jackson. Right at 11, the Miami Dolphins. They didn't care about Laramie Tunsil and his issue when he was falling. They need a quarterback. If Josh Allen's there, they'd be like, well, we could take him. Strong arm quarterback. And then I'm thinking, Jay Cutler, strong arm quarterback. What was his best year? Adam Gase. Who's the head coach of the Dolphins? Adam Gase. And I'm drawing all these lines in my head. And I'm like the Miami Dolphins. I even said it to Brad today. I'm like, book it. He's going to be a Dolphin.
You know how tall Ryan Tannehill is?
The same height as Jay Cutler.
6'5".
Hang on.
No, that's the same height. That's the same height as Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, okay.
Bada boom.
I thought it was going to be the same height as Jay Cutler.
The question is Josh Allen. Hot wife?
I don't know. I don't think he has a wife.
So there you go.
I think he has
That is why there's no fit for him in my eyes.
I would have married that beanbag.
Well, this is where we'll turn it on to you guys. I was going to say these final thoughts, but we'll turn it on to you guys. What do you think about the Edmonds and Allen pick for the Bills?
Edmonds.
Are they the centerpiece?
I did too.
Yeah, that's what we said. We like that one.
That's a good value. We all think they should have taken a quarterback at 7.
Let us know what you guys think down below in that comment section. Let's move on, though, into the next guy. Cardinals going with Josh Rosen, the quarterback from UCLA. Before we get into the whole thing with the Cardinals getting did they get the steal of the draft in Josh Rosen, the one thing I want to ask you guys is comments that I saw that Josh Rosen made after the pick, which I'm half and half on. The first one where he said that 9 teams made a big mistake by passing on me. I got no problem with that. Draymond Green did the same thing in the NBA, and he's making teams pay for passing on him. The thing that I don't like is when I saw, and he's really pissed off about it. Like, part of me goes, there's the good in that where, okay, let that fuel you and drive you to prove those teams wrong. But then there's the side of me that might be my father and me, where it's like, shut the fuck up, you're in the NFL.
Yeah,
you're in the NFL.
I've tried to defend Rosen's personality, kind of saying, he's Aaron Rodgers-esque. He has that chip on his shoulder. But one thing that Aaron's great at is being a politician about his answers. And I think that's one thing that Josh Rosen needs to learn how to do is, yes, you might not want to play politics, and you kind of mentioned this on the Dan Patrick show, or I think it was the Colin Cowherd show, is that he has an interest in politics, but the one thing that great politicians do is that they are calm, they are level-headed, they are strategic with their words. And I understand Josh Rosen kind of wanting to be brash, open, and honest with his words, but I think there is a level of where you need to be professional. And I think that he kind of crossed that line. I love the player. I think that he has a chip on his shoulder now, which is probably good for his game. The only problem is really durability. But in the end, that does worry me because I talked about Baker Mayfield's immaturity, and this might show immaturity in Josh Rosen.
Well, and the thing I think of in Dave, I think of this. If I was a Cardinal fan, after I'm pissed off, I'd be sitting there going, why are you pissed off? Don't be pissed off that they didn't pick you. I picked you. Like, you should be happy. It should be like, you know what? I'm happy to be a Cardinal. Going to do great things in Arizona. Should be all about. I'd be sitting there going.
People have different motivators.
I'm
Ricky.
like, why are you caring? I'd be like, why are you caring that so and so didn't take you before me? I got you.
People
Worry
have
about
different motivators.
Oh, I know that.
I'm heavily motivated by spite. And I have a feeling that Josh Rosen, likewise, is motivated by spite more than. He's happy he was picked, yes. But he wasn't picked, exactly where he wanted to be.
Yeah, which was number one.
He wasn't respected.
Well, no, not number one. He didn't want to go to Cleveland.
Right. Basically, he wants someone to
He
trade
cleared that up. He said he wanted to be drafted anywhere. On Dan Patrick's show.
Backtracked it.
And Dan Patrick's show, he literally said, I just want to be selected on Thursday. Clearly, that's not the truth.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to be selected somewhere.
He wanted to be selected somewhere else.
Didn't want to be Brady Quinn.
But basically, his whole thing was, I agree. He's more focused about himself and feeling disrespected, and he wants to set the record straight there. Rather than, I'm happy, I'm enjoying the moment. I can't wait to be an Arizona Cardinal. This is my jam. I'm going to make this place amazing. No, he's definitely got a different set of priorities than a lot of people do.
Well, and this is, to me, now getting into the did they get the steal? To me, it's a two answer to the question. Did they get the steal by just what kind of a quarterback he is on the field? Potentially. Like, he's the most the guy to me that could step in day one for any team was Josh Rosen. I look at his tape, screamed Matt Ryan to me with how he throws, his mechanics. I was like looking, I'm like, I've seen this exact before. And then I pulled up Matt Ryan tape and I'm like, oh, that's where I've seen it. But the thing the reason why I say no is I feel like, remember when Jim Mora was like, oh, he's got interests outside of football. Yeah. And I know, Dave, you were one where you're like, I want my guy to have interests outside of football. I think this shows that a little bit. Not the interest outside of football, hey, I should be focused on this. I should be focused on the team that drafted me, but I'm focused on something completely not related to, it's related because I didn't get drafted by them, but I shouldn't be focusing on this at all. And that's what I wonder will be the derailment of Josh Rosen in the end, where it's 30 for 30, great player, but man, if he would have just if he wouldn't have just worried about what the critics said. He's worried about outside voices.
Yeah.
He would have been a great player. Like, that could be the alternate to me with Josh Rosen, that he will be his own destructive tool and could ruin himself. No, like, he could be the tool that destroys his career.
Himself, because he's so occupied with what the media says about him and what his perception is outside.
Exactly.
I could see that. But I feel like he's internally, like, mentally strong enough to kind of channel that into, I think, his time on the field. That's sort of Sean, you're just giving me a...
Dave has a picture of Josh Rosen while he's being drafted or walking on the stage, and it's like kind of one of those pictures that no matter where you go, the eyes will follow you. I don't know if we could put it up on the screen or not.
We'll put it on Twitter.
I'll turn Dave's computer if you could see it, because I kind of wanted to get away from looking at me.
We'll put it on Twitter. For
I don't
sure.
know. I mean, maybe it's kind of similar to the look Rodgers had when he was in the war room after not being picked. But Rodgers, it was more of he felt defeated, where Rosen seemed more pissed off. And
he was like seething.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just I agree with you, Ricky. And again, maybe it's old school thinking of,
just be happy
be
you were
happy.
drafted.
You're drafted. You're a top 10
You want to be
pick.
Geno Smith and not get your name called day one?
Like, you were drafted. And I understand that you wanted to be somewhere else, and that's not your expectations, and you thought you were going to be higher, but go prove it. Like Baker Mayfield proved that. 3-star recruit and walked down to 2 different programs and won the Heisman. Like, I just... And then there was comments about him not trying or at UCLA or something along the lines of... he could have been somewhere else, but he picked UCLA to be a joke. I don't know exactly where he is. And if I'm going to bash Baker Mayfield on immaturity, I think this is showing some immaturity in Josh Rosen. Not because it's an outside interest. I just think that he has an ego that he needs to live up to. And again, ego's not always a terrible thing. I think Aaron Rodgers has a massive ego, but I think it's something that is beneficial
he can play
to him.
politician.
RELAX.
Relax.
Yeah, I'm
think,
happy you're at least admitting to this, because you're being fair about your criticism.
Well, am I usually not?
I mean, sometimes you get a little biased.
Well, again,
Just a
I
smidge.
About Tom
I
Brady.
love Josh Rosen's tape, and when people were bashing on him for his personality, I didn't really buy into it, because I was like, well, that's
that was me.
Yeah, that's what I saw it, and I was just like, you know what? I think this is more of just some bad rumors, and maybe this is just some miscommunication from Jim Mora, and even Mora wanted to clean it up a bit. It's starting to rub me the wrong way, and the fact that it took me literally like a day, like one comment to kind of flip it, I think it speaks volumes onto what Josh Rosen's kind of resume is on with his personality.
And there was a whole thing with the Mora when he tried to clean it up, where they were saying that, is this really Jim Mora cleaning it up, or is this the Rosen family going, hey man, we could have went anywhere. We could have went to Southern Cal. We came and played for you. We threw you a bone. Now you throw us a bone. Like, there were people saying that as well.
Yeah.
The thing that I think of is I go back to when we ranked the quarterbacks. And for me, early on, it was Darnold, Rosen, Darnold, Rosen, Darnold, Rosen. But then as we got through it, it was like Darnold and Allen, and then they flipped towards the end, Allen, Darnold. Baker was then my third, because I love the chip on my shoulder thing. Rosen kept falling. And if it wasn't for what I saw on tape and what he can do on the field, he would have been out of my top 5 because of the whole after I heard the Jim Mora thing, I'm like, all right, prove to me that it's wrong, but I don't want a guy that is going to. The big thing for me was when they were like, oh, well, when the wide receiver runs a bad route, he gets really angry and he uses a condescending tone. Again, speaking from personal experience here, I hated when I was in rehearsals and stuff, and you're with someone and they're trying to help you, but they're so condescending about things where it's like, just get the fuck away from me. Right. I'll figure it out on myself. I don't want that as a guy for a teammate. So for me, now I see this and I go, I wouldn't even want him on my team because of what he was acting like tonight. Kind of like a crybaby.
Ooh.
Kind of like a crybaby a little bit.
I think in some ways, then there's always the saying of, you could tell the character of a person on how they act when they have, how they act around someone where they have nothing to gain. And I think maybe even Kanye tweeted that out. I know he's a nutbag, but he tweeted that out. And I think I think Rosen might be that character where he's going to act like he cares about someone when he can gain something from somebody. And again, I don't know Josh Rosen. I can't make these assumptions.
I've said numerous times, and I'll say it again. Josh, if you're watching, you're always welcome down the podcast.
He's a dear friend of ours.
I'm just saying, if it gets to his timeline, he's more than welcome on the show anytime.
I bet he watches
to plead his case.
I just think that again that might be his personality of he's just trying to get somewhere in advance, and that again doesn't bode well for a leader. I would rather have Baker Mayfield, who he might have interest in himself, but that interest is winning and being the best, which means at some point he's going to drag people along with him. Rosen's is more of once you're dead to me, you're dead to me. Yeah. And that works when you're a businessman. Doesn't work when you're a quarterback.
It's a team sport, unfortunately, at the end of the day. And like you said, if he is not making his team better and working with his teammates to make everything around them better, then he's now hurting you from a franchise standpoint. And that... I don't want to go in the deep end just because of some comments.
Well, there were people that said that because he was a big tennis player early on,
right?
That kind of seeps into where it's like it's an individual sport, so that's why he's a little bit more
about it. Yeah, I can totally respect that point of view. I'm just to the point where I know this is overreaction. Right? I know that's where where we're aiming at for this stuff, but I don't know that I've seen enough that I'm like. I still feel like it was a steal. I still feel like value-wise, getting
on talent
someone
alone,
with his talent in this draft where they got him was absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it.
Well, it's worth the risk. I mean, I thought the biggest risk on him was going to be durability. And then maybe when he went to the Cardinals, I thought, oh, great, he's going to be the backup to Sam Bradford, a guy who had a ton of talent.
I was going to ask, durability. Does he start day one?
Well, I'm just saying, even if he's not the backup to Sam Bradford, again, Bradford's still on that team, so a guy that, again, has a ton of talent but was never able to do anything with it because of the durability. I kind of talked about that a little bit in my group chat today, where it was like, I think Rosen's the most talented, and the reason he'll falter is because of a Sam Bradford, he'll get injured and won't be able to be on the field.
Yeah.
Now he's drafted to the ghost of Christmas past or Christmas future.
Now it's drifting away where it's a little bit more of, does he have the mentality to be a leader and win? Maybe he'll be able to put up stats, but maybe he won't have the ability to take his team to the next level. That's the question that's coming into me, and now that's more of a concern. So I understand why he fell this low. I still think the tape speaks volumes on him, and I know UCLA was a bad team, but UCLA wasn't lighting up the Pac-12 this year.
Well, I mean, there was also questions where I heard this on the Dan Patrick show this week where he was almost going to come back to UCLA.
Yeah.
And Chip Kelly was sitting there like, hey, I want him back. I can win with anyone. But, hey, I would love to have Josh Rosen be here on my team. But there was even do I want to go pro? Do I want to come back kind of a thing? The thing I think with Josh Rosen, though, if there's any team that would have been perfect that needed a quarterback for him to go to, it's the Cardinals. And the main reason why I say that is, remember how I brought up the talking condescending to your wide receivers? Who's the number one wide receiver in Arizona?
I believe it's John Brown.
John Brown. But Larry Fitzgerald is who I was thinking of.
Oh,
John Brown's not even on the team anymore. I think he's in Baltimore.
Whoops.
But Larry Fitzgerald is the guy I'm thinking of. If there's anyone, and I don't know Josh Rosen, I don't know if he'll be whatever, Larry, whatever you say.
Is Larry Fitzgerald any good, though?
No.
Does he have any credentials to his career?
But what I'm saying is, if there's anyone that can teach him and guide him to be a better leader and kind of maybe whip this kid into shape, I'll say, it'd be Larry Fitzgerald.
No, 100%. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald's been a great person.
Just a great pro.
He's the epitome of leadership and everything you want in a professional.
Kind of reminds me of Tim Duncan with the Spurs almost. Yeah.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I like that comparison. I think that not only with the Larry Fitzgerald thing, I also think this is probably the great spot because you also look, it's the most pro-ready quarterback with a great defense already. And Steve Wilkes is going to enhance that defense.
I mean, I know they lost the Honey Badger.
Yeah, make it better. But, I mean, there's still a lot of talent on that defense. So I really like that fit. You have David Johnson, you have Larry Fitzgerald, you now have Josh Rosen if he is the starter, and a good defense. Now, will that help you win the NFC West with all the talent there in San Francisco and Los Angeles? And I'll even give respect to Seattle because of Russell Wilson. Probably not, but this team will at least probably be competitive in that NFC West.
Do you think Mike McCoy and Josh Rosen will work well?
I think they could.
Because Mike McCoy is the OC right now.
I think it could.
I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean, he's not a Peyton Manning. I mean, McCoy had his biggest success with Peyton Manning, and I don't know if he's more of that. Because when I think of Peyton Manning and Phillip Rivers, they can dominate with their arm. But one thing too is Peyton and Phillip Rivers trash talk like crazy. And then they have that competitive edge, and Rosen seems to really have that competitive edge as well. So maybe personality-wise, it might fit well with Mike McCoy and his offense, but talent-wise, I don't see the arm talent that Rivers and Manning has, but those also are all-time greats. So it's gonna depend on how they work in gel and training camp.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the biggest thing, if we're talking about steal here, just kind of end it up.
Yeah.
Talent-wise, he's a steal. Like, getting him at 10, like, this is a guy who, talent alone, #1 pick.
You got my #1 quarterback as the fourth quarterback off the board. That's the definition of a steal.
The big thing for me in the end, and like I said earlier, I'll say it again now, is I feel like Josh Rosen's biggest enemy will be Josh Rosen. It'll be one of those situations where it's like, you know what? In the end, everyone tried to help him. He was his own demise. He would focus on this, wouldn't focus on that. He'd get too carried away with this and not that. But, like, if he just, to me, blocks out everything that anyone says, who gives a crap that you went 10, you're on the Arizona Cardinals, and you get to play in the NFL? Like, show a little bit of humility there. But if he can put all that aside and just go play some football, he'll be a great pro for Arizona.
Be careful, Icarus.
Exactly.
Don't fly too close to the sun.
Do you got any final thoughts, Dave?
No, I think you guys wrapped up pretty well. I just hope that I truly do hope that the fit is right, and I think that as long as Sam Bradford has the time to kind of give him the warning signs of, look, you're incredibly talented. So was I. I'm now on my third team, fourth team.
Well, that was for different reasons.
Rams, Eagles, Vikings, fourth team.
It was an interesting contract, to be fair, but
yeah, but I'm saying I think Rosen's demise will be his personality, not. And Sam Bradford isn't an asshole.
that we know of.
He'd be a huge asshole.
Dave, then we know it.
Closet asshole, Sam Bradford.
But I'm saying if there's someone who can come in and be the guy who you're learning under, I think Sam Bradford is journeyman enough, but he also has a top end talent. Where just a year, just a little over a year ago, highest passing percentage in the NFL. So I mean, it's a good position for him to grow under. It's not somewhere, even though he's the most pro-ready, we're all thrilled about that, he doesn't have to start day one.
Well, and Fitz will humble him too. And also, I mean, look at the third string now on that Arizona Cardinals team. Mike Glennon was humbled last year. Hey, I just got a 3-year, $46 million contract. Now I'm the third string quarterback for a Cardinal team behind Sam Bradford, who can't stay healthy, and Josh Rosen, who's a rookie. I think that's something too.
Look into your crystal ball really quick, Sean. Is there any reality where Sam Bradford goes down this year and Mike Glennon starts over Josh Rosen?
Oh, God, no.
Just for year one.
No.
Like, let's say week 6 he goes down and the Cardinals put in Mike Glennon.
Is Josh Rosen injured?
It would literally have to be week 1, play 4. And only in that scenario.
The only way that he would go in the game before is if Josh Rosen's in the locker room taking a piss.
Yeah.
And it was a turnover and Rosen's scrambling to get in and Glennon has to hand it off to David
He couldn't
Johnson.
find his helmet on the sideline. There was a whole shenanigans play. Yeah.
And just to kind of give you guys a little insight of just Josh Rosen after I watched his film.
Sure.
Strengths and weaknesses. Strengths, I had pocket passing, great spiral, field vision, arm talent. All weaknesses, durability, leadership, personality. Not one thing, except for maybe durability, not one thing to do with his actual
play,
talent, and physical ability on the field. So for me, kind of like what Sean and Dave said, he'll be his own enemy. But Cardinal fans, you guys, let us know what you think down below in the comment section. Did the Cardinals get the steal of the draft? How will Rosen's career pan out with the Cardinals? Let us know what you guys think. Let's move on, though. Last quarterback we're talking about today, Lamar Jackson, getting drafted by the Baltimore Ravens. And Sean, before we get into what it means for Joe Flacco and the Ravens, I just want to know, I know you said it enough on the live stream, but I have not heard you say it in person. How distraught are you that he's not a New England Patriot in red, white, and blue?
It's not that I'm distraught that he's not a Patriot. It's distraught that he's now a Baltimore Raven. And that the fact that Ozzie Newsome has the gall to go out in his final year and attack me one more final time. The fact that that team's been ruining my life as a Patriot fan in the playoffs, I believe a couple of times, I believe twice. And the fact that we even beat them, but they're even close games. The Billy Cundiff missed field goal gave me a heart attack. The fact that Ozzie Newsome just wants to go out and attack me like this, I feel like I need to get a restraining order against Ozzie Newsome. I am terribly annoyed that we took Sony Michel with the 31st overall pick when you have 4 rostered running backs on the Patriots already. 3 of them that have been signed in the past 2 years, Jeremy Hill, Mike Gillislee, and Rex Burkhead, and a Super Bowl legend in James White. And now you add Sony Michel. Again, I don't dislike Sony Michel. I think he is a great NFL player. Well, I think he's going to be a great NFL player. I think he's going to be a really good running back in the NFL. But you have to look at the future if you are Bill Belichick and you are Josh McDaniels. And there's rumors and reports coming out that the Patriots were in love with Lamar Jackson.
They were impressed. How impressed were you, though? And that's the thing is... Because you passed on him twice.
Yeah, passed on him twice, and you just let him go. And it's disappointing. I don't know what the future plan for the Patriots are at quarterback. You had
full investment in Tom Brady.
All the ammo to move up to get a Josh Rosen, to get a Lamar Jackson, and you passed on it. So I think it's something that's worrying for the Patriots' future, and I'm disappointed as a Patriots fan, but I've been disappointed before after our drafts, and I've been dead wrong. So in Bill Belichick, I trust because he's much better at his job than I would be at his job.
Well, and now to move on, Ravens do get Lamar Jackson. For the Raven fans that made it this far, because I know there's a few that probably said, screw it, Patriots, clicked out. Sean's a huge Patriot fan, wanted Lamar Jackson, wanted to get that take. Here's some coincidences with this pick. First off, 4 years ago in the 2014 draft, a Louisville quarterback was drafted 32nd overall. Louisville. So you got a Louisville quarterback drafted 32 overall. That team traded into the 32nd pick. Both teams that Teddy Bridgewater and Lamar Jackson drafted to, both wear the color purple.
Wow.
Didn't even think about that one when I said it earlier. But, Dave, we'll go to you first.
Sure thing, man.
What does this mean for Joe Flacco and the Ravens?
Sure thing, bro.
Sure thing, big dog. Sure thing, boss man. So, juice, man. Juice. But, I mean, the Ravens drafting Lamar Jackson, what does it mean for Joe Flacco now? Is there a timetable on him and his time in Baltimore?
I think there definitely is. This is a sign from, it was great. You did win. You did take us to his promised land, got a Super Bowl. We gave you a fat contract.
Well, the power outage got him a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Regardless.
He's elite.
Results were there. He is declared elite. But he's now kind of on the hot seat a little bit because the timer is running out. He's not a guy who looks like he's going to be your quarterback for the next X years. He looks like his time is running pretty low there. The results kind of show that. I don't know that necessarily the shakeup is required as far as coordinators, personnel around him, what it would take for him to perform at a top level again. So this is more of a guy we're bringing in Lamar Jackson, who we have high upside on. We think he's a special athlete. We think he's someone who can come in and add a new dynamic to this team that you cannot provide us and maybe do something better. He's not necessarily going to play this year. I don't think there's any need to even concern yourself with that. But the connection that I saw right away was the Marty Morningwig connection, and that he had been there for Michael Vick during the Eagle days. And as soon as I saw that, I was joking around with Sean on live stream, I was like, oh, you know why I think they're going to do it? And this. And he's like, and then
and it happened.
Well, that's a good point, but also the other connection that was pointed out to our live by our live stream viewers is also that they signed RG3. And again, different quarterbacks, but still same background. And RG3 lit it up in his first year.
Can kind
and
of
was
teach Lamar
taken down by
a thing or two about the NFL for that kind of a quarterback.
Was taken down by injuries, but still he had to go through that transition of an everything man at Baylor, doing it all for that Baylor team, and then adjusting to the NFL. Both had
you have to pick and choose your battles on each down,
and both had the dual threat ability. And Robert Griffin III had to balance his talent, learn how to be a passer and when to run. And Joe Flacco can show him how to be a true quarterback. I think it's a great spot for Lamar Jackson. I think it's a home run, like a typical Ozzie Newsome draft. I mean, I am not sure about the 25th pick in the tight end from South Carolina. I'm blanking on his name right now. It's 2 a.m.
I can literally just picture the
Hayden Hurst. So going up and getting him at 25, I think it might have been a reach. But also that
if he's your next
need.
Todd Heap.
It addresses a need because they haven't had a healthy tight end in years. Dennis Pitta was great when healthy, but he was rarely healthy. Ben Watson was good, but Ben Watson wasn't sticking around a ton. But again, Lamar Jackson, I think, is a really solid pick because this is going to be a place where Lamar Jackson can shine. He'll have a great defense typically with the Baltimore Ravens. He's going to have Marty Morningwig, who has been a quarterback before, has the former knowledge of working with dual threat quarterbacks like a Mike Vick. And you also have guys on the roster like Mark Sanchez was to Dak Prescott, and Mark Sanchez was to Mitch Trubisky last year that can show them how to be an NFL quarterback in Robert Griffin III and in Joe Flacco. So I think this is a perfect spot for Lamar Jackson. I think he could really thrive, and it's pissing me off.
So this is what I think when it comes to Joe Flacco. This pick of Lamar Jackson means after 2019, Joe Flacco's gone.
100%?
He is no longer 100% gone.
You're writing off the Flacco?
I am.
The Flack?
The Flack has 2 more years, and then they're taking the potential out. 2020 will be Lamar Jackson's first full-time job, unless Joe Flacco gets injured before then. Here's the reason I'm coming to that hot take situation. Is first off, with the Hayden Hurst pick, I can see why they did it. They need a tight end. They need someone at that position.
Oh, it's a need. I'm not denying it.
However, the thing I look at could you have gotten a tight end later and taken Calvin Ridley, who went right after you? You need a wide receiver as well. And the thing I wasn't bought in on...
Real quick, they do have some weapons.
And I'm getting to that. I'm not completely bought in. I like the Crabtree pickup. The Willie Snead one, he's not a 1, not a 2 to me. He's a 3-4 guy. Okay. Like, he's a guy that put him out there, he'll get you yards,
also
but he's not going to be
though.
my 1, my 2. That, to me, is questioning. Josh Brown, same thing. He's John Brown. He's not going to be my 1. He's not going to be my 2.
For you.
I want someone else to be my 2 along with Crabtree. And for me, Calvin really might not have been the best fit. So it's like, okay, go with Hayden Hurst. The reason why I say Joe Flacco is done with his potential out is if the Ravens, of course, you're trading up for this guy, but why trade up for the quarterback when you could have traded up for Cortland Sutton, who was a big play wide receiver, could have been the same thing that Joe Flacco had with Torrey Smith back in the day.
Led him to
completely passed on that, and you went with the quarterback.
First off, how dare you disrespect the name of Brashad Perriman, the magical disappearing act of their former first-round pick.
So hurt
also
all the time.
Brashad Perriman?
I was so high on him.
The former Predator, who I think has played a whole 2 games. He's the Kevin White, but actually no one knows his name. And then also, I would rather have seen them draft a running back rather than a wide receiver at that spot. Because you have Alex Collins as your bell cow right now, and Javarius Allen as your bell cow.
Kenneth Dixon showed flashes too, but he's not the number 1 guy.
You have a guy like Darius Geis, Rashad Penny, Sony Michel. I would rather go get a guy who could be a number 1 back in this league and help Joe Flacco, take pressure off of him. I think you have a lot of wide receivers that are okay, none that are over the top, but you don't have a guy that you can give the ball to 20 times in a game in that backfield right now for the Ravens.
Here's the thing I think about when it comes to running backs, though, and this is why I would go, for me, I wouldn't go, if you're going to go for Lamar Jackson, it's a great pick. I'm not saying it's not. But if you're going to pick between running back and wide receiver, the reason why I would wait on running back is yeah, you might lose a few in the second round because their next pick is the very first pick of the third round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But for me, there's going to be someone there. There's going to be, like, whether it's a Chubb, whether it's a Jones Jr., because I think Geis goes in the second, a Kerryon Johnson, a Royce Freeman. Yeah, as you get further down, what if it's like a Bo Scarborough and you just add him to be that back and you have a committee? To me, Joe Flacco thrives when he has that deep ball threat, and Crabtree can't be it himself. I thought Cortland Sutton could have been the main thing. The thing I'm most confused about is why the Eagles traded the pick, because the whole news coming in is they wanted Cortland Sutton. News was they could trade up for Cortland Sutton. He falls to them at 32, and they go, nah, bro, we good, and trade the pick.
What trades? What needs do they need to fill?
Wide receiver.
Do they? I mean, they still
they lost Torrey Smith. He'd be replacing Torrey Smith and being one with Alshon
What did Torrey
Jeffrey.
Smith do last year? I mean, he wasn't a massive weapon for them. He had some flashes. He caught some touchdowns, but I mean, I'm not beating myself up over losing Torrey Smith.
I'm just saying,
hey,
it's
hell, if Des Bryant wants to play the Cowboys' choice, he's still an option.
It was
I don't know if they have a cap, but still throw it out there.
No, they're the lowest cap space.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was confusing to me to where it was like, oh, you wanted this guy.
But
you said you want, but you passed on him. That's the only thing I'm saying with that.
But
I'm not saying like, oh, boneheaded move. But
again,
I was just confused.
How many smoke screens were there, Ricky? I mean,
this
that could have
was
just been
2
a smoke
weeks ago.
screen.
It could have been a smoke screen.
It could have been a smoke screen.
But even like Cortland
Sutton
came out and said, yeah, they really like me, and they said they're going to take me.
I just think you can get a guy that I love in Equinemius St. Brown for the Eagles later on in this draft.
There's
unless the Bears take him first.
There's a decent amount of talent later in the draft. I like the pick, going tight end into a quarterback, because guess what? Every young quarterback's best friend is their tight end. It's the safety blanket. It's the guy who is a body mismatch, and that's exactly what Hayden Hurst brings to the table. He's a big dude. He is absolutely able to absorb balls. He's not like amazing hands, but like his body blocks people out. He can just twist and he's there. Because I mean, they've Joe got Flacco a consistent weapon.
Yeah, they got Nick
as
Bowl,
long as he stays healthy.
Max Williams. It's like they don't have that one tight end.
Just get some medics out there for them.
Real quick, I like Max Williams. That guy he hasn't shown it. But again, Joe Flacco loves tight ends. He loved Dennis Pitta when Dennis Pitta was out there.
Yep.
He gets so much usage. Yeah,
loved Ben Watson when Ben Watson was out there. He hasn't had that guy, so I think that's going to help Joe Flacco. Yeah. I don't dislike Hayden Hurst as a player. Again, it's just
he just felt the value wasn't there for him to be a
little bit of a reach. Well, I think, and again. Reach always has a negative connotation. It doesn't mean it was a bad pick, because, again, in 5 years, you can look back and say Hayden Hurst is a starting tight end. It was a good pick there. I just think that there were probably more pressing needs, and I thought that should have been a Darius Geis pick. I think that should have been a Sony Michel pick, a Rashad Penny pick. I think they should have helped Flacco in another way.
Well, and that's the thing I'm getting to, is you can add running back into it also. Reason why I think he'll be done in 2 years is they take Lamar Jackson. They take why would you trade up for a quarterback if you weren't ready to move on from Joe Flacco before that, at that potential out?
Maybe you're playing by the Patriots playbook of you always go for a quarterback. Always have that guy because you see the value in a backup quarterback in the NFL. But that isn't just a replacement plan. It's an insurance policy, because if your QB goes down during the season,
the Ravens pick on guys. I don't care how the Ravens
pick right now. I'm saying if you watch the Eagles win a Super Bowl based off of a backup quarterback taking them through the playoffs, then why wouldn't you think to yourself, we've got a decent team. We had a pretty good year last year. Not amazing, not terrible.
Well, I mean, Andy Dalton kept them out of the playoffs.
Yeah, sure. Fine.
No, they did.
No, I'm
really,
just,
they did.
I don't care. I'm just saying, yeah, sure. I'm moving on with the point of you watch a team literally go through and you see the value every year of backup quarterbacks who get more and more time because there's so many injuries to this to every team. The value of having a backup quarterback who can come in and play snaps for you during the season, I think, has gone through the roof. I think that it's no longer a death knell to the starter that you have go out and get a backup quarterback in the draft every couple of years.
In the first round,
I think you can rotate through them, yeah.
Is Lamar the backup quarterback next year, though, or is it RG3?
I don't know that RG3 will ever be a starting quarterback again.
I said backup.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like,
so
I think that
why would because we're talking about backup quarterbacks here?
So
Joe
if
Flacco's
if
going to start.
Gets hurt, I don't think RG3 would start. I think RG3 is like is the clipboard guru on the sideline.
I think they signed him for a reason.
I don't know
to be their backup quarterback.
I don't know that he's got it left in him.
But the thing is I think that if he doesn't, then you can go to Lamar. But I still think Lamar needs that year to just sit behind it and learn and develop as an NFL quarterback.
He might be a transitional point. Yeah,
and I think Ricky's right. You're taking Lamar Jackson because Joe Flacco's gone in the next 2 years. I don't disagree with that. And again, I think he's in a great position. You're learning from Joe Flacco. You're learning from RG3. Marty Morningwig has worked with dual threat quarterbacks in Mike Vick before, even twice I think, because Vick was on the Jets even when he was the offensive coordinator there as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think in 2013, 2014, Vick was a Jet as well. Obviously not the same Mike Vick as we saw in the Eagles or the Falcons. But again, I think he's in a great position, and I think it does spell the end for Joe Flacco coming up soon, especially with that out.
Here's the thing, and this is an article from last year, so I don't have 2017, but the last 9 draft classes from 2016. These were the quarterbacks drafted in the first round, and I'll make my point after I list them. 2016 was Goff, Wentz, and Paxton Lynch. 2015, Winston Mariota. 14 was Bortles, Manziel, Teddy Bridgewater. 2013 was Manuel. He was the only one that year. Then Luck.
EJ.
Yeah, EJ. Luck, Griffin, Tannehill, and Whedon in 2012. Ooh. Newton, Locker, Gabbert, and Ponder in 2011. Bradford and Tebow in 2010.
Yikes.
Stafford, Sanchez, Josh Freeman in 2009.
So much talent.
And then Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco in 2008.
Hey.
How many of those guys were drafted to be a backup and never were not all those guys were drafted to eventually be the starter for their team?
And how many panned out?
No, and I'm not saying panned out. I'm saying starter for their team. You don't trade up for a guy in the first round unless he's going to be your starter. I'm not trading up for a quarterback in the first round.
I think the plan is he will be your starter at some point, but I don't think the line is 2 years exactly. I think that you get Flacco on a cheaper deal at that point in time. I don't think this means that he is done at the end of his contract, period, bar none. Doesn't matter what you've done for us. Doesn't matter where we're at.
The end of his contract would be 3 years.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's a renegotiation point. I think that's all it is. I don't think it's a get the fuck out of town, Joe. Thanks for all the memories.
Then how long would you have
How long did Aaron Rodgers sit?
I mean, Joe Flacco's not Brett Favre.
I know he's not. I'm just saying it's happened before.
And I mean,
I don't think that... Look, I don't love Joe Flacco. I don't think he's going to take them to another Super Bowl. But I also don't think the Ravens are the type of organization who's going to kick out a quarterback who's been with the franchise for a decade. I don't see them being those guys who are like, and your time's done, sorry. They're not quick to move on.
Well,
they're loyal if you're good.
Trent Dilfer stayed until Trent Dilfer was done.
That was so long ago, and no, he wasn't. Trent Dilfer was gone next year, I'm pretty sure. I'm literally thinking he won a Super Bowl and he was gone. So no, Trent Dilfer did not have that pleasure. But they're loyal to guys that are good and still kicking it. I mean, Terrell Suggs is still a great pass rusher on the end. That's why he's still around. Ed Reed was still good at the end of his time.
You're right.
That's why
Trent Dilfer was in Baltimore, and then the next year he was in Seattle.
Ray Lewis was still a great player. That's why he was on the team. I think if Joe Flacco doesn't have value to this team anymore and he's going to cost them money, then why would you keep him around? Because that's just taking away we've seen teams thrive on having rookie quarterbacks as their starter. Look at Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is a reason why the Eagles were able to build up that great team is because your starting quarterback didn't cost you any money. Right now is going to still give you the window from Lamar Jackson's third, fourth, and fifth year to build a Super Bowl contender around him while Joe Flacco's gone. I think that this is more of a cap move because he might not be ready year 1, year 2, but year 3 he should be ready. And in those 3 years, that's going to give us an opportunity to win a Super Bowl if Lamar Jackson is the quarterback we believe he can become.
I mean, the renegotiation thing is interesting because for sure they're renegotiating this deal after that because he's going to make $12,000. This is base salary. $12,000 this year.
Million.
12 million. I said thousand. 12 million.
Well, $12,000.
18.5 million
for an elite quarterback.
18.5 million the next year. Then it jumps to 20.2. Then 24.2.
How much is all that live cap though? Because I'm pretty sure there's some dead cap, dead money at some point.
So the cap hit for this year will be 24. It says 24.75 mil. The dead cap is 28.7, then 26.5, 28-24.
I'm pretty sure at some point, though, he does have. I think next year he has dead money, is what Schefter tweeted out. So I think at some point they can just cut their losses with Flacco or cut Flacco.
It's after 2019 season. They have it's a potential out.
Yeah,
so after 2019, they can cut him, no question.
I think it's time for Flacco. I mean, Flacco again. He got him a Super Bowl, but I think at some point you got to move on from him because again, as much as he's done, he's kind of a Tyrod Taylor in the sense of he's not gonna he's a better quarterback.
Yeah,
but recently it's more of Joe Flacco is not going to win you games. He's not going to lose you games. There hasn't been a lot of. They were 5 years removed from the Super Bowl. I think we're fine to say that.
And the question I'll ask Dave is because you brought in Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 years before Brett was traded, and then he started his 4th year. With how the contract lands up, let's say I'm putting you in the shoes of Ozzie Newsome.
Well, he's gone after this year.
Yeah, okay.
He's
so
retiring,
Dave's taking over for Ozzie Newsome. Congratulations.
What if that happens?
Pretty cool deal.
Congrats,
Pretty
Dave.
cool deal.
You now have Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
You have Joe Flacco, 2 years potential out, then 2 years after that. So are you going to get rid of him and then say, hey, I'll re-sign you for a 1-year deal? And then Lamar takes over 3 years? Like, how long would you have Lamar sit?
I would open up with a quick call to Josh McCown and be like, so I need myself a gym teacher to start a quarterback here.
Call Jay Cutler.
Then maybe Jay Cutler. Look, it's entirely performance dependent.
We'll call up Brady Quinn.
It's entirely performance dependent.
If Joe Flacco wins a Super Bowl this year.
I don't even care if he wins a Super Bowl. If he goes playoff, are you kicking him out?
Win the fucking Super Bowl.
No, I'm just throwing it out there.
If this Baltimore team goes playoff, like, are you going to do the hard reset? Like, look at us and be like, realistically, this is our top end with this team. You can't get us further than this point. We're going to pull the cord. I'm okay with that. I mean, as a Bears fan, we walked away from a playoff coach, and we're like, yeah, no, this is as far as it takes us. Sorry, it's been a good run, but it's time to reload. And I think that's the kind of line in the sand. It's entirely performance based, but at the end of the day, if you feel like you can't win, then why stick with someone?
Unless Joe Flacco becomes a different person and a different quarterback, he's gone in 2 years. It's simple.
Also, another thing to put into it is, so during this season, he'll turn, 34? During the next season, he'll turn 35. So at the end of that potential out, he'll be a 35-year-old quarterback. If they do keep him for the 4 years, he'll be 37 at the end of that deal.
I think he'll still start a couple years after that. Again, he's gonna win. He's
for a different team.
He's like a top 15 quarterback. He's nothing crazy. He's nothing bad. He's nothing good. He's Joe Flacco. I think that's all we can say for Joe Flacco is that he's Joe Flacco. There's nothing sexy about him. Like there's the fun joke that he's elite.
He has a very symmetrical face.
There's that fun joke that he's elite.
He looks like the owl from what is it, Muppets?
Yeah, a little bit.
But again, I just don't know if I think in 2 years Joe Flacco's gone.
Well, any final thoughts? Sean kind of gave his.
Yeah,
Dave.
Fuck the Ravens.
Well, that's just the Patriot thing because they took Lamar Jackson.
That's just the Sean thing, all right?
Fuck
the Ravens.
Do you hate the Ravens the most out of any team?
Right
Besides
now he
the
does.
Packers?
Right now he does.
Because your Bear fandom is the Packers.
It's the Packers more.
But like, if your
Good man.
Patriot side's coming out, who do you hate the most? The Ravens?
The Broncos are up there too.
Okay.
But the
Colts,
Broncos,
not the Colts.
But
the Colts, no,
Not at this point.
You and the Broncos share an eternal bond of Tim Tebow.
not the Colts. The Colts are like the little brother, but he's like 10 years younger than you.
It
so
can't
it's
be
like
the Steelers because you always beat them.
Yeah, no, they're like the deadbeat cousins.
Would it be between the Ravens and the Broncos?
It'd probably be the Ravens.
There you go.
I'm more pissed at them right now.
Yeah, because they got Lamar Jackson.
They got the heat on him.
Well, this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think. Will Lamar be pushing Joe Flacco out of town? Let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Well, let's end the podcast. Real simple segment here for the last one. We're talking what was our best pick of the first round? What was our worst pick of the first round? So we'll start with best pick. We'll kind of go around. Sean, we'll start with you. Out of this first round, best pick of the night.
I will have to go with Bradley Chubb, number 5 for the Denver Broncos.
All right.
I think that, obviously the quarterbacks are sexy. I like Josh Rosen, but then we obviously talked about him in the Cardinals situation. I'm not sure about his mentality. I think he's a little bit immature. Browns go out and get their franchise quarterback. Not the guy I would have taken. I like the Jets pick of Sam Darnold. If I was going to have to go with a quarterback pick, that'd probably be the one I like the most. But looking at the Broncos at number 5, they maxed out that value. In some eyes, they got the best player in the draft at 5. Some people would say it's Saquon. But looking at what he brings to that defense, you're still going to have Chris Harris in that secondary. You're still going to have a ton of playmakers in that linebacking core. And now you add probably the most scary 1-2 punch blitzing the quarterback probably seen since Robert Mathis and Dwight Freeney. Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, absolutely disgusting. It's going to tear apart Colton Miller, who's just drafted by the Oakland Raiders on the right tackle and Donald Penn on the left tackle for the Raiders. It's going to tear apart Barksdale from the Chargers. It's going to tear apart Eric Fisher from the Chiefs. This is going to be unstoppable.
Well, how did Case Keenum survive in Minnesota? Had a great defense behind him.
Yep.
What do you got to do in Denver? Put a great defense behind him.
And honestly, your 2 of the 11 players might be great. And that's all you need for Denver. And I know Chris Harris is great, but I'm just saying, literally, if those 2 were, if you had mediocre players around those 2 players, I still think they'd be pressuring the quarterback.
And guess what they can do now? Because Josh Jackson that has fallen, that cornerback they need, they can get it early in round 2.
Or Isaiah Oliver.
Yep, exactly.
Keep him in Colorado. I love that pick. People were wondering about a quarterback. You got Case Keenum. Give him a year. Honestly, the guy prove that he can be a starting quarterback that wins you games and takes you to the playoffs. Get Bradley Chubb. Guy could be a generational defensive player. I love the Bradley Chubb pick, and pairing with Von Miller is disgusting.
Dave, best pick of the night.
Mine's probably going to have to be Sony Michel going to New England. I flinched.
I'm done.
I thought I was going to get hit.
Is that a joke or are you serious?
It's a joke.
Okay.
I thought I was going to get hit.
He's joking, Sean. You can sit down.
I seriously thought he was going to punch me.
It's a really
again.
nice suit, by the way.
Thanks.
I like the no tie, by the way.
He did have a tie. He
The
lost
cash.
it
I had a tie on, and this thing's choking
But
me.
for
So
the
I'm
podcast, cash, no tie. But Dave, who's your best pick after the joke of Sony?
I thought I was getting drafted.
My best pick, we talked Josh Rosen already, but probably outside of that is actually right after is Minkah Fitzpatrick to the Miami Dolphins. I think they fell in a position where there were a lot of options for them, and I was pretty happy that with them going Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think in the secondary, he is a Swiss Army knife of options. He can literally do anything for you. His leadership back there, his versatility, so valuable.
They call this kid Coach Saban's son. You know where Coach Saban's
son?
You know where Coach Saban used to coach in the NFL? Miami. Love the pick.
Coincidence?
Man,
I think not.
I didn't even that didn't even click in my head until Sean brought it up. Do they really call him Saban's son?
Yeah, that's what they tossed on the banner at least.
Okay, so
The kid studies tape. Not only is he great on the field, super hard on himself. He tries to be the best player that he can possibly be.
He's a guy that I thought the Bears would take.
Yeah, and he's also he's been starting since his freshman year on a star-studded Alabama defense. You got two other players from that defense going in the first round. Deron Payne and then also Rashaan Evans. Absolutely love the pick for Miami. I hate it as a Patriots fan because now I have to go up against Minkah Fitzpatrick, but great pick for Miami.
He definitely helped. He's one of those guys who actually makes the guys around him a better player. That's what I love. You're adding value around yourself, Do
you think they drafted him as a safety? He's not going to play corner because he was the versatility.
Like I said, Swiss Army knife.
So you say whatever he's
let
needed.
him play. That's the answer. It's not quite as bad as last year with what's his face to Cleveland.
To Jabril
Peppers.
Where it's
not
linebacker, safety.
He's not as out of position as that, but he is versatile.
Well, the thing is that you picked Peppers on his athleticism.
Right.
You're picking Fitzpatrick because he's a football player.
Yes. Thank you.
My best pick is going to be the boring pick. It's number 2, Saquon to the Giants.
I wanted to say...
It's just, for me, I feel like there's 2 things that I've been saying in mock drafts for the past 3 years. I've been saying, one, and they're both NFC East teams. One, the Redskins should take a defensive tackle. They finally do it in Deron Payne.
Yep.
Thought it'd be Vita Vea, but, Buck spoiled that.
I love that Bucks pick, by the way.
I do, too.
Good move.
And then 2, it was that the Giants need a running back. And for years, it's like, we're going to kick that can down the road. I love how they didn't kick it down the road. Hey, Eli, we're investing in you.
Yep.
giving you probably one of the best. I'm not going to say
That's best running back they've ever had.
best running back, but I want to say playmaker, but maybe like
Odell Beckham.
He's
Yeah,
going to
say
be
that's not-
no in this draft. I'm saying
Oh,
from the running back position.
Probably.
Like he's a guy that's going to run the ball, catch the ball,
It's a 3-down
do
back.
whatever they want, do whatever they want.
It's a 4-down back. He's that good.
And I mean, I like that. Like they have like a Wayne Gallman for like he could be the third down guy, third down guy. For them if they need to. But Saquon could do
In
3,
all
4
honesty,
downs.
he's a 5-down back.
Yeah, he'll do it. 5 downs.
5 downs.
He'll
He
even
gets-
play
he gets his
special.
own down.
He'll kick the field goal if you ask him.
Well,
to.
that's the thing. He'll return the kicks. That's the negative down.
Unless we don't get rid of
then
them.
1 through 4.
Unless we don't get rid of kick returns.
Yeah, we'll
We'll see where
how
that
goes.
lands.
What about the interesting one? Sean, we'll start with you. Worst pick of the night.
Okay, well, real quick before we do that, I
Okay.
want to just about the Dolphins.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
They brought in T.J. McDonald to play free safety. They already have Rashad Jones, who's already
you're
he's
saying
been a Pro Bowler
corner?
before. Probably gonna be the nickel corner because I love
Okay.
Xavier Howard on the outside. Absolutely tore apart the Patriots back on Monday night. The worst pick of the draft, though, this one depends. If you were asking me right after it was made, it was probably Sony Michel because I was so pissed off at the Patriots.
Got a little
But
heated.
I think the worst pick, and it's not even close, revisiting this, is at 15, Colton Miller of the Oakland Raiders.
Really?
Looking at what the Raiders needed, you need a defense. And I know Dave made this point, and I agree to him in a certain sense, of the Raiders, now with Bradley Chubb being drafted, you're going to need to protect your most valuable asset in Carr. And he was hurt last year. We saw that team was like without him. You need to protect him. But Colton Miller is not a guy that I'd be comfortable plugging in right away and stepping in and being that guy. Luckily, they already have a left tackle in Donald Penn who is going to play the tougher position, going to play that left tackle spot. That's going to
Donald
be
Penn, how long is he going to be playing? Though?
exactly.
That's the thing.
It's going to be more of a prime position. So you're going to put the guy that's been there in Donald Penn, and you could put Colton Miller at the right tackle slot, which is still important, little less harder to play. But still, Colton Miller maxed out at the combine. But we've seen guys that have had great combines and it just hasn't flipped the switch in the NFL. I don't know if he is exactly the guy to really protect Derek Carr. I look at a guy that went 17, 2 picks after the Raiders picked in now I'm blanking on his name. Derwin James. Thank you. The safety from Florida State. I think that kid could have been a game changer and a playmaker on the Oakland Raiders defense that desperately needs a playmaker outside of Khalil Mack.
There are only 2 things I'm going to say to where I combat why I don't think this is the worst pick is because, and why I don't think it's a bad pick at all is because, one, it all comes into every draft. You're deep at some points, you're not deep at other points. And for me, when I was doing the full 7-round mock draft, I got to the 3rd, 4th round and I went, wow, there's a huge dip in offensive tackles. If you need one, take one early. And I think that's what the Raiders did. Whereas you go through linebacker and corner, 2 of the things that they could have went with, or safety, a little bit more deeper. So I expect them to tackle defense in their 2nd, 3rd round and just not have to worry about settling for a weaker tackle.
And I understand where you're coming from. But again, even then, I don't think you got the best tackle. I think Connor Williams is the best tackle out of this draft from Texas. So if you're going with a tackle, go get the best tackle. And I understand, you're high on
and
Colton
your
Miller.
board is different than my board, which is different than John
You're big on
Gruden's.
Colton Miller. Mel Kiper's big on Colton Miller. Again, he's got the measurables.
I'll be honest, he should have went above Mike McGlinchey, though.
Who,
Really?
Colton Miller?
I think so.
No way.
Colton Miller was my
Get
first one off
outta
the board.
here.
No,
Mike
I think
McGlinchey
you're
is
crazy.
better than Colton
McGlinchey
Miller.
was my second one off the board.
McGlinchey is such a sure thing. No.
We're talking McGlinchey, not Quentin Nelson.
Yes,
Yeah,
Mike
Just to
McGlinchey.
be, I think that he's the
2 guys on Notre Dame.
I would
Those
have
2
the
guys are
second
both
behind
better.
Colton Miller to me.
Mike McGlinchey was absolutely fantastic. Look at the game. Look at that NC State game against Bradley Chubb. He was assigned to Bradley Chubb, and Brandon Wimbush is a terrible quarterback, and Brandon Wimbush had time to at least process those passes because of McGlinchey's work one-on-one with Bradley Chubb. Mike McGlinchey has been a consistent starter, a great captain, a great leader. That kid is proven. He dominated great competition.
And I'm going to say this because it's not
great competition. I love
it's
McGlinchey.
not my worst.
Yeah.
I did see that pick at 9 with McGlinchey, and I thought
Love it.
a little bit. I thought it was a little bit of a reach. For
I
me.
love it.
I would have
no.
if I was the Niners. I would have went either pass rush or I would have went with a wide receiver.
They don't need pass rush.
Yeah, they do.
No,
they
they
have
got-
the worst fucking.
They have DeForest Buckner. They have Solomon
They
Thomas.
were 26th in sacks
They
last year,
don't
Sean.
have any linebackers.
They
have outside
That's why they
edges.
were
They
mocked
just
to
spent
Tremaine
2 first rounders
could've-
on fucking pass rushers.
Say the name, Dave.
That's why they were mocked the entire way with Tremaine Edmonds. And it
Bingo.
was just like, I
But
get it.
Tremaine,
rusher.
but Tremaine Edmonds is a guy that might be playing inside linebacker when this dust settles.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't mocked with a guy like a Marcus Davenport or a Harold Landry.
Yeah.
They were mocked with a guy who's going to be versatile and play different positions. Also because of the Reuben Foster situation, they weren't sure what was going to happen.
That's fair.
This is a team that has spent multiple picks getting pass rushers on their team. DeForest Buckner, Solomon Thomas, and even before then, they went out and got another guy from Oregon as well. I'm blanking on his name. I'll look him up
They've
on our
invested.
lads. Armstead. They've invested a ton
Yeah.
in their pass rushers. They need a linebacker help. But one thing that I will say, the
Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker. That's what I'm saying. Like that's what they were mocked.
That could have been their pick, but at the same time, you have Jimmy Garoppolo, who looks like the freaking savior right
I know.
now.
I know.
and you
There's
just
that.
invested 5 years, $135 million in the
all
guy.
your money
Go
is
out
in
and
him.
Protect him.
Yes.
That was my whole thing, though, was when I saw that, I was like, whoa, that's a shock to me because my whole thing was I want to strengthen that defense because I don't want to be 26th in sacks last year. I want to get after the quarterback and help that offense and get them the ball and not have Jimmy Garoppolo having to score numerous
Well, here's
amounts
the
of
thing.
points to win games.
Check the stats from
I
when
know,
Jimmy Garoppolo
Garoppolo's
took over.
undefeated, yeah.
No, outside the undefeated, just even the defensive stats. It's him being able to control the tempo of the game changes the ability of the defense to play. Like when they're playing behind all game, no shit they're gonna be off on pressure because they're just constantly playing from behind. With him out there, their stats are completely different. And I know it's the whole season as a picture, but really this team had 2 seasons last year. So that's why I think that you nail this offensive line pick in McGlinchey. You get somebody who's going to be out there
And that's
every
why I
down
brought it
guarding
up.
him.
It's not my worst, but it's one that I saw and I went, whoa, okay. I wasn't thinking about making that pick there.
And one thing, too,
I
is
thought they would trade back and get like a Rashawn Evans.
You need a plan after Joe Staley. Joe Staley has been a massive, a major stud at left tackle for the 49ers for years. But he's getting to that age where he's going to retire soon. You need that plan after him, and I think McGlinchey could totally be that. I don't think that was a reach. I think, again, there wasn't a guy like a Roquan. If Roquan Smith was there, they'd probably go after
the
and
Bears
take him.
spoiled that.
Yeah, so I
Dave's like, I love that.
I love the McGlinchey pick. So I think the Colton Miller one was too much of a reach there. 15 though.
Dave, what was your worst?
My worst, and it's not, like, here's the thing. I could see where most of these picks kind of fit in. Mine was Detroit, going Frank right
That
now.
was mine. Why the hell did he go center?
Thank you.
Why?
I don't have
Darius Geis, pass
He's got the
rusher.
enthusiasm.
Come
He's in front
on.
of it.
Like,
Yep.
I was going to say Detroit. That's why.
It
Darius
was.
Geis is on the board. I could have lived with Darius Geis,
Yep.
even though I would have went like a Harold Landry.
I would have went a
or-
different direction, but at
I'm
least I
trying
can
to-
stomach it.
Okay, Leighton Vander Esch was off the board. I
one-
mean,
one
in my
pick.
mocks, he was after that. But it's like pass rush, running back, and you go with a center that you probably could have gotten in the second, third round. Probably the second round.
Yep.
That's why for me, I was...
The value, that's one of the picks where I'm like, the value is just not there right now. I don't know if they felt like it was a weird run on centers, and they're like, oh, we got to
No,
get
they were the
now.
first one that took it. Billy Price went after him.
Oh, Price went after you.
Billy Price, though, is a first-round center. He was usually... I mean, in our mocks, we had him like third segment, so after 21.
And James Daniels still out there from Iowa as center.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I don't know what the thought was there. I don't understand the priority. They have so... They have 2 other clear priorities on the table, at least, and I can think of 2 more that would take above a center.
And here's the thing, and I asked Brandon this, because Brandon was also, when I went through my final mock where I kind of predicted things, he was like, oh, I'm surprised you don't have the Lions go with a running back. And I'm like, well, the question for them is, it's kind of a what came first, the chicken or the egg type of question. Who's to blame, the offensive line or the running backs?
Right.
So they've got Abdullah, they've got Riddick, they've got Zenner, like they've got numerous running backs. Are they to fault? or is the offensive line to fault? I get their answer is that our running backs are fine and that our offensive line's to fault, and I'm gonna say it, reach on a center.
Just go with the Dallas Cowboys build of go get yourself offensive line after offensive line after offensive line. Start building that up, and then you can build up everything around that.
When we're yelling at teams for picking a center when this is one of the deepest running back classes, I mean, why? I mean, this is a guy who you think can protect Matt Stafford.
Pick.
I mean, like, yeah, that's one thing. Like, we didn't have much to say about Frank Ragnow because it's center. Like, I mean, it's tough to, as long as Matt Stafford's healthy and fine and not being under pressure. It's a great pick. You also have such a deep running back draft where Darius Geis is still on the board. There's guys like Josh Adams from Notre Dame still on the board. Justin Jackson still on the board from Northwestern. There's still running backs that can be taken in this draft.
Like Dave said earlier, this is overreaction night to the first round. But, I mean, the thing that I look at is if I was the Lions, go pass rush linebacker first, then go with your offensive line. Because, like, how I had it in my 7th round, Harold Landry first. Then I did have Frank Ragnow, not to them, but later because I had Hayden Hurst to them. Right. But you can get Ragnow in the 2nd, and then in the 3rd, go with that running back.
Well, I mean, now in the 2nd round, they can go Darius Geis if he's on the board.
Do you think Darius Geis will make it all the way to the 19th pick of the 2nd round?
I have no idea. I didn't think he would get out of the 1st.
Give me a prediction of what you think.
That's the thing. I figured Frank Ragnow would be there by the 19th pick of the 2nd round.
Me too.
Cleveland has a shot at taking him in the 33, 35th. Indianapolis also has 2 picks. Maybe if they like guys, they can go with them. But again, I didn't think he would slip this far. So the fact that he's slipping this far, I don't know what's going to happen with Darius Geis. And even then, if Detroit loves him, they could trade back up and get him. So, I mean, Detroit's not done. I don't think they're done with running back. I think they can still get a guy that can change their franchise. One guy I want to bring up, though, Jacksonville goes Taven Bryan. Mark Weber, not a fan of it on Twitter. What are your thoughts?
Well, that was one where Taven Bryan, to me, he was because Buzz sat here when we did our live one.
Yeah.
And he made, I can't remember what team it was, but he
Falcons.
made the pick for Taven Bryan. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of interesting because for me, I always thought he was an early 2nd, but not a 1st-round talent.
Yeah, he had him going to the Falcons, which I thought was a need for them as well. They need to nose tackle help. I think the one reason why people don't like the Taven Bryan pick is just because they have Calais Campbell. But also look into that Jags team. They don't have a ton of needs. So you're really getting that backup plan to Calais Campbell, who is an older guy.
You know who I would have went over Taven Bryan there? Cortland Sutton. You lost Hearns and Robinson and didn't take a wideout?
We talked about that.
For me, the guy I had them mocked with was DJ Moore, but the Panthers take him off the board.
Yep.
And I mean, with Calvin Ridley there, it's like, or not Calvin Ridley, with Cortland Sutton there, it's like, I would have went with that if I was Jacksonville and give Blake Bortles weapons because your defense is fucking fine. It's fine.
Well, they want to keep it fine.
I know, but it's like,
at some point they're going to have to pay all these young kids.
Why use this pick on Taven Bryan now when I can get a wide receiver here and then go defensive tackle later on?
Well, if they
because this is a very heavier defensive.
If they love a Taven Bryan, then I could see why.
Maybe the Florida connection. Yeah. Maybe they just want to keep him in the state. The one pick that I will say I do love, but it's not my best, is my Vikings. Get a corner, replace Terrence Newman. I mean, he's a guy that Mark really liked in Mike Hughes.
And also, it's when Trey Wayne's contract comes up, you're going to need to have money for Anthony Barr and all these guys that contracts are coming up.
Well, we already got Kendrick.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, everyone else in that.
No, I know. There's more
defense.
Coming. There's more coming.
I mean,
you're writing checks for days.
You could ship off Trey Waynes, and Mike Hughes can become your second corner because Xavier Rhodes is the best. I don't know, best corner, but
he's our number one.
He's pretty good.
No, I was about to say I don't know if he's the best corner in the NFL, but he's top 3.
No, he is. And our safeties are
Sendejo and Harrison Smith. But yeah, the one final pick that I loved was,
is this a best?
Calvin Ridley. Yeah,
okay.
I love Calvin Ridley to Atlanta.
The Alabama connection with him and Julio.
Awesome. Yeah. And Mohamed Sanu getting a little bit older. Giving a third weapon to Matty Ice, trying to revamp that offense. Love it.
And the thing that's great about that one is you can let Sanu be on the outside, so Julio and Sanu on the outside. Let Calvin Ridley run with his route running in the slot.
You know what? Another thing I liked too was Isaiah Wynn to the Patriots at 23.
Really?
Is this sarcasm?
No, I actually did like that pick because we need a tackle, and again, I love that kid's tape. And people worry about him being a tackle in the NFL, but. If there's any guy that
a lot of guys have him listed as a guard.
If there's any guy that I think could chicken shit and turn it into chicken salad, it's Dante Scarnecchia. So and even then you're not taking chicken shit, you're just taking probably not a nice cut of meat because it's not the biggest and leanest cut of meat, but he's got everything that he's got the taste of good chicken. I don't know where I'm trying to go here, but he's got all the tools to be a tackle in the NFL. It's just really, will his size be that big of a difference? But I think Dante Scarnecchia can do it.
You know what this means? I'm looking right now at my watch, and my heart rate right now, apparently my resting was 78. I'm up to an 84 with it. So I'm not high enough.
Getting a little heated,
I'm not high enough. I wasn't as heated as I was earlier on, but you know what that means? We got to wrap up the show.
We do.
It is 2:30. 2:30. We are putting it in for you guys. Avengers coming out, movie review. We've got this whole draft podcast coming out. I want to thank you guys on that side of the table coming
Sean
in.
and I, from 7 p.m. till 2:30 a.m., doing NFL draft.
I'm hyped. Thank you guys
I hope
for
someone's still listening at this point.
Yeah, same here.
I'm kind of sad if no one's listening.
Doing the live stream, coming in here, filling in for Mark, coming in here, doing the draft podcast. Let us know what you think about what your best, what your worst pick of the first round is. Let us know down below in the comment section. Thank you guys for listening. A little housekeeping here at the end. Patreon.com/MostValuable Podcast. That's how you come and support us. You can get your MVP t-shirts down below in the store link in the description. You can check out mostvaluablepodcast.com for everything MVP each and every day. Last but not least, go on to Apple Podcasts and iTunes. Give the Onside Kick a 5-star rating. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Thank you guys for listening on podcast services around the world. And as always, have a good day, everybody.